මොකද බලලා උදේ ගම චූ කරලා උදේ ගනේ.
ம்.
ඔය නිකන් වෙන්න ෂෝකේස් එකක් ඔය තාම පටන් ගන්න නැහැ ට්‍රේලර් වෙන්න.
බැරි.
දැන් මේ ටික තමයි අද යන්නේ නේද? මේ ටිකනේ තමයි අද යන්නේ නේ.
පැති වැඩක් නැහැ මං හිතා කවන්නේ.
අපි යම් නිකන් බලමු නේද මේ ටික මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා.
මම නැත්නම් කොහොමද බලලා ඉතින් මොකක්ද කියලා. ඇටොමික් කාට් එකක් තිබ්බා වගේ මතකයි.
ඔව් ඇටොමික් කාඩ් එකේ මේක එනවා. MM වල.
DLC MM වල.
ඔව්. Cube. The Cube
ආ
කියලා
කියුබ්
කියන්නේ.
එකනේ.
මොකද්ද එහෙම ඇත්තේ.
ඒක announce කරානේ එදා.
ඔව් එදා announce
එදා
කරා.
බැලුවා.
චේන් සෝල්ජර්ත් බලලා නිදාගන්න.
Dark Souls.
We have Jake Lucky, kind of the point where gaming, esports, and streamers collide. If you look at him for too long, you'll start to wonder why his neck is so long. And if you look at his Twitter for too long, you'll wonder how much Nadeshot paid him to tweet clips of him every single day. His favorite games of all time are RuneScape, Age of Empires 2, Halo Infinite, Jumpstart Adventures with Bodley, and CSGO. Next up, Cloud, a streamer with a hatred of spoons and a love for dragon sex, who probably has more personality than the rest of us in her favorite games include Baldur's Gate 3, XCOM 2,
මගේ මයික් එක මයික් එක වැඩද?
then Luke Stevens.
නෑ මගේ මයික් එක වැඩ
මයික් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. නෑ නෑ ඒක තමයි ඒක පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ. මම ලයිව් එකෙන් යනකොට ඒක.
DNA and really looks at everything a game has.
ඔය යවලා බලන්න ලයිව් එකේ.
Where our brains
මොකක්
might
වැඩක්
be
නැහැ ඔය.
smooth, his
උත්සාහ ගියා.
are Witcher 3, Halo 3, Batman
අඩෝ
Arkham
රොබ්
City,
ඉන්නවා.
X-Men
අඩෝ
Legends, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
අඩෝ අයන්
තාම
රොබ්.
ඩබල්
Confused
වෙන?
with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2
No.
or Call of Duty Modern Warfare
අලග්ගෙන.
2
අයියෝ.
remastered. Then our final member is Blue Thunder, the man who is always spotlighting the
අඩෝ Blue Thunder.
not to be confused with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2
ඔය රොබ් කියන එක අමාරුයි. අයන් රොබ්
Modern
කියන
Warfare
එක.
2
මේ වීඩියෝ
remastered. Then our final member is Blue Thunder, the man who is always spotlighting the next hidden gem before anyone else sees it coming. He just had a beautiful second child
Hey,
that
live එක නැති
luckily
වුණාද?
takes after his
Skip
wife, so
credit
he's not here in person, but was a major part of the
නෑ නෑ
showcase.
ලයිව්
His
එකේ.
favorite games of all time are Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2, Elden Ring, The Last of Us, and Metal Gear Solid 2.
Together, we're pressing how we think game showcases should feel.
දෙක දෙක
Conversational,
යනවා.
authentic, and transparent.
කතා කරන
We are
විතර
here
දෙන්නේ.
to
Not
celebrate
them.
what actually excites us.
What
Incredible
I had
worlds, creative
Yeah,
depth,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the stories behind those games that we love so much.
There's
Irland
no
open
paid
up the
placements,
mobile.
no marketing scripts, just pure
Yeah.
passion and
Yeah.
excitement
Yeah.
for what's coming up in gaming.
You can expect a wide range of content, including new
Live එකක් දාලා
trailers,
තියෙන්නේ.
fresh gameplay, developer interviews, behind the
ඒ කියන්නේ
scenes
live එකේ
content,
මේව
and
දාලා
some
තියෙන්නේ.
updates to your favorite games.
මොකද?
So sit back, grab your drink of choice, and let's dive into some of the games that we think are worth your attention.
ඔය ලයිව් එක
This
බලනවා
is the
වීඩියෝ.
New Game Plus Game Showcase.
ලයිව් එක බලන ගමන් ලයිව් එකක් දාගෙන ඉන්න.
New game.
So we're
ආ ඒක
What's the name of
New
it?
game.
You get any
plus
hand up?
shows the
You
showcase.
plus
of-
the game plus the showcase.
Have we trademarked that yet? Because I don't.
Oh God.
Well, we have
දෙක
cups.
දෙක
The
ලයිව් එකක් දාන ගමන් ලයිව්.
cups are
දැන්
done.
මම YouTube එකට ලයිව් එකක් දානවා. මේක රියැක්ට් කරන එක ඒක කිව්වේ. මම මගේ ලයිව් එක මම බලගෙන නැහැ.
දෙක දෙක.
ඉතින් මගේ මයික් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැද්ද? දෙක දෙක හෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Alright guys, so first up we have
Get
three
that
awesome
one.
games.
Everyone I know.
Blind Descent coming from Owlcat,
How though?
Deep Dish Dungeon coming from Behold and Raw Fury, as well as
බලපන්
බලන්න ඉතින් කාගෙද මයික් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ?
වැදලා නෑනේ.
Walker, creative director.
නෑ කාගෙවත් මයික් වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ බං.
දැන් මයික් වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ ඒවට ඇහෙනවා නේද? ලයිව් එකේ. මේ අපේ Discord ලයිව් එකේ
ඒ
දැන් දන්නේ නැහැ.
60 fps දාලා තියෙන 720p.
Yes, doing the green.
කොල්ම
මොකක්ද ඒ? මා කොල්ටි වැස්සා.
Nine yes. අයියෝ 240 බලන්නේ මොන ලැජ්ජාද මේ.
නෑ නෑ කොල්ටි වැස්සා. මගේ වැරද්දක් දන්නේ. ඔතෝ දාල්දි.
අනික ලයිව් උත් නේ බලන්න.
අපි මේ නේට් කාරය හරිද ඕව පෙන්වන්න
මේ ගේම් එකේ graphics
ලයිව් එක මේ තප්පර 10ක් විතර පරක්කු හරිද?
අර 10ක් වත් තියෙනවා.
ඔබට එයාට තප්පර 10ක් දෙන්නද?
ඔව්.
තප්පර 10ක ගෝඩින් ෂිට් එකක් පෙන්නත් ඒක ඔබ තාම කියන්නේ.
ඒක ඉතින් කොහොමද බැලෙනවනේ යකෝ යවන්නේ නැහනේ.
තප්පර 10කට කලින්
පරක් වෙනවනේ.
ඔබ හිතන්නේ මේ ගේම් එක ආතල් වෙයිද නැතිව? ස්ලෝ වැඩි.
තියනවා නැත්නම් වගේ.
ස්ලෝ වැඩිනේ.
ඔව් වැඩි එහෙම තියෙනවා.
ඒ වගේ ගේම් එකක් ටික ෆාස්ට් වුණා නම් මරුවේ. ඔය තියෙන්නේ බය බාන්නේ.
ඕ.
ඩෝන් වෝක. ඔය ට්‍රේලර් එක නම් බලලා ඇතිලා තියෙනවා. මම හිතුවා අලුත් ට්‍රේලර් එකයි කියලා.
ට්‍රේලර් එක දායි දැන්.
නෑ ට්‍රේලර් එක නේ යන්නේ.
ගේම්
තනිකර මේ වුණාට විචර් 3 බං එකේ ග්‍රැෆික්
Dawnwalker is like a special
Yeah, ඊට වඩා
kind
පොඩ්ඩක්
of
improve
being
කරලා
in
තියෙනවා.
our IP. It's neither fully a vampire nor a human. It's something in between. What this means is basically that you, as a Dawnwalker, you have underwent a transformation. You
අපිට
used to be
කද්ද
human.
උරුණ තැන්න බලන්න
And
දන්නේ
now, during the nighttime, you do get all the powers and the
Yeah,
difficulties
yeah.
of being a vampire. So you get the blood.
අනේ අර ගේම් එකනේ
and so
බලන්නේ
on. But during daytime, these powers are dormant, and you still have to.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have
yeah.
all the
Rat vampire.
weaknesses of a human, right? But also the perks of being human. One of the things that is unique to humans in our
මම ලයිව් එක
It's
කට් කරලා
not
දෙමුත්
dynamic.
ආයි හරියයි දන්නේ නේ.
magic,
ඊට මම
so
දාලා
casting
කට් කරලා
spells.
දාන්න.
The Dawnwalkers are not very commonplace in that IP. They are very, very
No, like
rare,
they cut.
rarer than vampires. So you as a Dawnwalker are kind of special in this regard.
අනේ
I would say
දෝනිකට පෙන්න
the
පෙන්න
short
හිටියා.
term things that
අර
have
දැන්
immediate
අර
impact
දෝනිගේ
on the
වීඩියෝ.
character development are
දැන්
you
හරි.
have to feed on, you know, either animals or humans on blood suddenly, right? So you get these
අඩෝ
cravings,
වැම්පයර් එකේ
you
අර
get
දත් දෙක
these,
විතරනේ
like,
ඔක්කොම දත් ටික
weird,
උඩ දාලා
eerie
තියෙනවා.
experiences that you didn't have as a human.
Real
Francis
vampire
and
game.
his
Yeah,
clique
Ruben
of
Dusty,
vampires
yeah.
actually caught him on his low point when he was vulnerable. He has used a specific traits of vampiric blood in order to cement his
ආ
position
උත්
in the
එක්ක
valley.
ගන්න දිනවනේ.
Because, you know, as you might imagine, having a
Oh,
bloodsucker
yeah.
as your lord might be a tough sell.
ඒ වෙන එකේ
However, if
Yeah.
the alternative is getting
Later,
sick and,
ඒ
you know,
වගේ
dying
was
in
it midnight?
thousands, actually it doesn't sound as such a horrible thing. He tries to kind of distort the religious beliefs in order to install himself as a savior of the valley. We do explore this in the game, so you might see, like, for example, statues erected to Brensis, new iconography shown in the local cathedral, for example, and in the castle and so on. There is this whole cult of personality he builds around himself. So he basically shows himself as something better than the old
එනේ
order.
ස්ටෝරියක්
Right?
තියෙනවා
We
නේ
do have a
මොකක්ද කියන්නේ.
mechanic tied to shrines that are erected across the valley, and Brensis puts a lot of attention to
අඩෝ කික්
kind of
එකේ
twist
කමෙන්ට්
them
එක
to his
දිගට
own
යනවා
image.
react
And
to this
these do have a functionality.
song,
When
what
you
do
play
you
the game,
think?
we have assigned specific functions to them. Generally speaking, one of the things
Yeah.
we wanted to
Spam
achieve
කරනවා YouTube
in this
link.
game is to have Brensis being this
And,
active
well,
antagonist. You know, in a lot of games, the antagonists are out
බලමු,
there.
සිරා-
But
සිරාට
generally
මේක කරලා
speaking,
බලමු
you have
කවුද
free reign,
ටැප් කරේ
you do your own thing, and it doesn't really, change much in how they approach you. In this game, what we wanted to do is to have Brensis react to your actions as you know, complete different activities throughout the valley, as you maybe undermine his operations and so on.
It's kind of like his seal of approval.
Exactly. So it's like so basically the way you can think about it is like the more you do in the valley, especially if you
කියන්නේ
undermine
මේ
Brensis,
වැලිය එකේ
you will
විතරක්
gain
තියෙන කියන්නේ
notoriety.
තනිකරම
The more
කඳු දෙකක් මැද
notorious you
විතරක්
are,
තියෙන
the
කතාව.
more edicts
එහෙම දෙයක්.
Brensis will pass in order to
වැලිය
enforce
කියන්නේ
කියලා නෑ අර දැක්කත්
For
දාලා
example,
මේ දවස්
he might send
ගානක්
out more
තියෙනවා.
soldiers
ඔව්,
to
ඒක මම
patrol
දැක්ක අර
the roads
තියන්නේ
and
ඒකනේ.
villages, right? He might
Rescue
in
family
some
ඒකනේ
extreme
main
cases,
mission එක.
maybe even initiate a
ඒක
war
තමයි main
against the
side
city
mission
to
නේ.
basically hamper your ways of traversing it, right? There is a number of these edicts we have prepared, and each of them is
නෑ
designed
හිතන්නේ
to
side
kind
mission
of
වුණාත්
twist
අර
and
Witcher එකේ
change
වගේ
the
ඔව්
general
ලොකුවටම ඇති
open
මං
world
හිතන්නේ.
gameplay. It
side
also has
mission
benefits.
main එක වගේ
There are
ඇති.
factions
main
in
එක
the
කරන අතර ඇරාව
valley that dislike Brensis, so the more notoriety you gain, you know, the better standing with them you get, like they actually like that. There is a number of plot lines that you can follow if you want. You can also cut them off because we have added these systems where, for example, you might lose control over Cohen when he's a vampire if he was hungry. You might kill off some important NPCs and then the plot line just cuts off basically, or you get some alternative version. There are some ways to enter the castle in the open world. You can ignore these side plot lines. You can level up Cohen and decide to attack the castle on your own, right?
Out of curiosity, is there romance in the game?
Romance, yes, of course. We
Oh!
have romance options,
Okay,
yes.
that means we have the
We
thing I
didn't
want.
delve deep into like with whom yet.
Okay.
I'll leave that for
Can we have a
the
thing I
future
want?
to talk about. However, yes,
Ek
we
tahu-
can exactly
ek
build
tahu mana dia
relationships
dengan
with characters. Like I said, there is like one main goal.
Good question. Good question. Woman.
Varying ways to get
Yep,
there.
yep.
These different ways.
හැබැයි
that
අපිට
will
ඕනේ
impact,
romance.
you know,
Man,
what
නෙමෙයි.
happens with
නෙමෙයි ඊට වඩා එහා ගියව එක.
and it's all up to you. And I think, yeah, I think I
ඒක හරි
would
අවුලක්
recommend
නෑ,
experimenting
Oh,
with
ඒක
this
හරි
stuff
තියනවා
and
නම්
having fun
කමක්
with
නෑ.
it.
ඒක තියනා කියන්නේ ඒක වෙනවනේ.
First one,
ඔය
blind
දරු හිනාවනේ
mission, survival,
Of
co-op,
course, කම
adventure.
විදිහට අල්ලගෙන.
එන කුජි
Subnautica vibes. And in the best way possible. I really like it, but like more with land exploration, which is really cool. I honestly can't wait to try it.
We're also going to see a lot of survival games today. So I think it all comes down to
ගොඩක්
what the
survival
ultimate
games
depth of the
කියනවනේ
game
ගැන
is.
ජීවිතේට ගහන්න
But
දෙන්නේ
I also,
නෑ.
my first thought when I saw Martian
don't
Land
know,
was No
Robin
Man's
Nugget,
Sky.
but-
That's obviously like a
ඔය කතා
maybe a
කරන්නේ.
reach for expectation
That
wise,
doesn't
and definitely a
From
tall
the-
task. But when I heard Martian, I thought No Man's Sky esque.
කවුද
Like you said, a
ඩිසයිනර්
lot of
ගේම්
survival games.
ඩිරෙක්ට්
But I think it's popular right now.
Okay, videos
And
lah
I'm hopeful that a lot of them do it right. But this is like going
It's
underneath
really-
Mars and has aliens.
ඔය
It
stream උත්
looks
කරලා
interesting. I like it.
stream කරලා
I'm
ඒවා
intrigued about the variety of
කියනු
ecosystems
පැටිනම්
and
ගොඩක්ම
aliens and plants
පැටිනම්
that they bring
පිරිස්සන්න
up.
Well, like you said,
Yeah,
it's
and
popular right now.
හැම ගේම් එකක්ම
People like them.
PlayStation
And
එක
so
ඇතුළේ
they share a lot of things
complete
mechanically, but for
කරනවා.
me,
Dark
it's
Souls
usually
series
the vibe,
එකක්
and this
තියෙනවා,
one has
Elden Ring
a
තියෙනවා,
vibe.
Platinum
Yeah,
ගන්න.
it's a good vibe.
That's why I wonder how
VIP
that
game
gameplay
again.
loop goes. Like, how far down can you go? What kind of
Balan
problems are you
Jole na,
experiencing as you continue to go down? And like you said, with survivals, we see like a lot of the same loops. So how can they?
Are there trees you can cut?
Yeah, like again, we're gonna talk about it a lot, but if you can cut a tree down, I'm good for survival games. I'm like
At that point,
I'm the target. I'm the target audience.
හැබැයි survival game
Then we
නම්
have
ඇති.
deep dish dungeon, co-op dungeon crawling, a survival game,
survival
handcrafted
game
dungeon.
ඇති.
You gather resources, cook to strengthen your party. You can party up with friends. I'm excited for it.
speaking of
MMO
vibes, this
කැටියක්
thing
එනවා,
is a
survival game
vibe.
කැටියක්
Like,
එනවා.
I don't know what you'd call that art style,
කැටියම
whatever
ගහන්න
it is.
ඒ
Like,
කැටියම
Injustice
ගහන්න.
Gods.
right?
දැන්
It's like
PC
pixel
හදන්නේ
art, but then they
කැරි නෑ.
also have like
RTX
some
නෑ,
voxel
RAM
type
නෑ,
tech
SSD
for
නෑ.
digging and breaking
Thanks.
things
අනිත් තුන්
down.
ප්ලේ
Yeah.
කරනවා
Is that
ස්ට්‍රීම්
what it's
බලනවා
called?
Okay, so when Luke said voxel, that's big word count number 1 of the day. When I see that, I'm very basic. I'm like, that's got to be some form of pixel art, which is definitely coming back. I feel like we're seeing more games kind of pull back that old view.
Man,
that
new
old, like,
games කියන්නේ කියන්නේ
Minecraft
ලොකු නිකන්
pixel art,
organisation
whatever you
එකක
wanna
ලොකු
call it,
යන්නේ නේ.
voxel view.
නෑ.
I will be honest with you guys. While you
indie-
guys are talking about
Oh,
pixels,
අලුතෙන්
I'm
නේ
thinking,
බලන්න.
I hope I can kill my teammates
Indie
in
game
funny
show
ways.
එකක් වගේ.
So
අලුතෙන්
sure,
මේවා
we'll go with the
Ah.
pixels.
Yeah, we were watching the trailer together.
Alright,
and the
ඉතින්
first
අරක
thing she
game-
was
game
saying
mode
was like,
පටන්
hey, how
ගත්තේ
do I
කොහොමද?
kill those I'm with?
I mean, I have to imagine it's a
ඒකත්
dungeon
ඔය
crawling game
ලාවන්‍ය
about
පටන් ගත්ත
cooking
ඊට
in the
පස්සේ
dungeon.
මේ-
Surely you're going to be able to accidentally poison yourselves.
Do you
know?
think
Like,
you can get like bad ingredients on purpose to murder your?
I bet you are gonna have to, I bet you're gonna have to
Why
find
are you
out.
going there?
So I wonder though, with it being like in dungeons, like if they're gonna have an in-game proximity chat kind of thing.
I hope
It's one of my favorite things in games like this when you're like walking through and you can hear your friend off in the distance. I
ඒකේ
wonder if
මේකප් ටික
The
ගලවපන්
Lethal
පට්ට කතා
Company
කියන මට
Yeah.
කිව්වා.
effects where they're like,
Especially
far
you
away.
can hear them
that's meant to
screaming.
be
Like screaming
enjoyed
right
with friends.
මොකද ඔබතුමා අගිදාස්.
Yeah, like at
Me
least
and Jake gonna be in their edition in that dungeon.
like at least a co-op. He's across the world. I'm like,
Huh?
Rob, you there?
අර කිය
Yeah,
මේකප්
I'm
ගලවපන්
dishing,
කැත තියෙන්නේ
baby,
ලස්සන.
I'm dishing. I'm dishing.
Making
Can you
dinner.
bring the
Ah.
carrot?
What are you making?
ඕනේ ඒවත්.
Lasagna. Yeah, no, but it looks very promising though.
Next up, we have Dawn Walker. Lua had a crazy conversation with her creative director. Single player, vampire, RPG, It looks incredible. I think the 30-day system is awesome and, like you said, gives weight to things. And then the
30-day system
like,
කියන්නේ
there's so
කියන්නේ
many
ඒක
decisions
repeat
you can
වෙන්නේ
make.
නැහැ
What I
නේ.
find really interesting about the game
නෑ
is
නෑ
that
එතනින් පස්සේ
the
ඉවරයි
protagonist is
ගේම
half vampire, half man.
මේක
And
බැරි වුණොත් ඉවරයි
even though like all of that sounds great by itself, there's even another layer where at night, of course, he can use vampiric
කියන්නේ
abilities that
ඇත්ත
he
world
doesn't
එක
get to
30 days
use
නැත්තම්
during
game
the
එක 30 days.
daytime. His
Game
combat's
world.
different. He's not using a sword,
Game
he's
එක
using
30 days.
claws. And then in the daytime, of course, there's NPCs walking
කියන්නේ
around,
පැහැයක්.
and there's, you know, maybe patrols going around.
කොහොම
that
කරයිද
aren't there at
දන්නේ
night, but then there's
විච්
different
එකේ
ones at night.
තියෙනවනේ
So
ඩේ ටයිම්
And you can use
සාමාන්‍ය
magic as
දෙන්න එක
human. You can use magic as a
Oh,
vampire.
yes.
කොහොමත් ඒකේ අර
Basically, what they're
මිෂන්
trying to
කරද්දී
do
ටයිම් එකක්
is to
යනවා
not just have the time be an
Adi,
element of
Adi.
certain actions to take it
Consume
forward, but
enough
also
time, yeah,
whether you're
I
playing
think
in day
that's
or night, quest lines play out completely
Yes.
differently because people are in different spots, their behaviors are different. This person may be asleep, so you can't talk to them,
Have
but
different
somebody else is
abilities.
there. Exactly.
Well, The Witcher 3 is my personal favorite game of all time. So, and this is former Witcher 3 developers working on this, and so much of that charm was prevalent. there.
විජයගේ
The
ඩිරෙක්ටර්
music-
කාරයා
The
ඉන්නවනේ.
music, just that soundtrack and the short little snippet we saw
ඩිරෙක්ටර්
there.
නෑනේ
I love that simple
3
separation.
හදපු
between day
dialogue
and night,
නෙවෙයි.
different things coming with your character.
That's got to be
නෑ
like
නෑ ඩිරෙක්ටර් නෑ
because it's got to
ඩිරෙක්ටර් නෑ
probably
කොහොම
tailor to your gameplay.
ඉවරයි
Like, I got to wait to make this
Oh.
choice during the nighttime versus during the
Direct
daytime where I can
na-
use certain abilities or different combat
Direct
styles. So I
na
love that
maragin.
part of it.
And so I could foresee a run through, like a a play style where you're playing only at night for missions. You're just doing stealthy vampire stuff, and you're eating people or you're drinking blood rather, not eating people. I don't know, maybe it's not away. But
Whatever
you know,
you want.
the dark run through versus like the light run through in the daytime, the vegan run through. The vegan run Which has one of the
ඇයි බං?
Sped run, dog walk.
vegan achievements.
Sponsored by Beyond Meat.
නෑනේ එතකොට වැම්පය කෙනෙක් මනුස්සෙක්ව මැරුවොත් ඒක කැනබිලිසම් නෙවෙයි නේ ඌ වෙනම
He really
එන්ටිටි
talks a
එකක් නේ
lot about systems that they
ඔය
have
ඉතින්
not
උට
spoke
ඒක
on.
කැනබිලිසම්
ඔව් නේ එතකොට උට ඒක කැනබිලිසම් නෙවෙයි
Addicts. As you go around the world, trying to find your information, you can side with
ඒක
different
කතා කරන්න
people.
ඕනේ
Depending
ප්‍රශ්නයක්.
on what you do, you can make the
ඒ ස්ට්‍රීමර්ස්
friends
නේ ගෙන්නර එක නම්
quite
මාරු
upset. So
නෑ
Yeah.
බං සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගේම් ප්ලේ කරන එවුන් ඉන්න බෑ බං ගේම් එකක් හොදලා
ඒක
නැති කියලා දැනගන්න
stop you from progressing in a certain
මෙහෙමයි ඉතින් අර
I just like
රැන්ඩම්
the
ප්ලේ කරන
Princess
එවුන් නෙවෙයිනේ
as
හાર્ඩ්කෝර් ප්ලේ කරන
antagonist is
එවුන්
not just
Oh,
like
yeah.
pure
එතකොට ඉතින්
evil.
උන් දන්නවා
Hard
ගේම් එකක් හොදයිද
stuff
නැද්ද
කරන
Stuff. Like he is helping the,
bias
like,
ලත්
people
ඉන්නවනේ
in
නැත්තම්.
some ways
ඔව්
in order to get control of them, but he's like curing them of the plague. Like he offers them something they aren't getting elsewhere. So he's doing bad stuff, but there's nuance.
අර රොක්කාරය හොඳ අමාරු හරිද
Really, really
ඔව්
ඒක ගහන්න ගලි ඌ පොට්ට ඔක්කොම කියනවා
Pirata?
clear cut, good or bad.
Oh.
Because I bet you there's
Look,
gonna be
platinum gun,
moments
it's
like
like-
you could stop it,
What the
like
fuck,
his
man?
influence in an area. That means they're gonna die of the plague. So it's like, do you
ඔය
let the
වීඩියෝ
bad guy
සුදුනේ
do
නාතල්
the thing that you were trying to
මම
stop him
දන්නේ
to
නෑ
do?
මම සරාටම දන්නේ
And
කවුද
it's also about
Good luck.
perspective.
Gaming
These
streamers
people were
බලන්නේ
ruled by a very
Yeah, I got
tyrannical leader before.
ඌ ස්ට්‍රීම් කරන
So
වීඩියෝස් තියෙනවා
even though Brent
Oh, the
is a
stream බලන්න
vampire to
ඕනේ.
them,
Ah.
he
Maybe
may as
it's
well
worth it.
be a savior, right?
වීඩියෝ ආත බලන්න I am rook
prologue go way back
For the next section, we have three.
Way back.
Again, I'm gonna have to not say incredible games every single time, but we have Prologue, Go Way Back.
Hello,
from
hello,
PlayerUnknown,
Danzo, hello.
Beautiful Light from Deep
Okay,
World,
Danzo.
and Project Shadowglass from
Danzo.
Starhelm Studios.
දන්සෝ කියන කාට වල දන්සෝ කියන නම් මතක කාගේ Who the fuck is Danzo?
It's just an infinite map generator with some game loops on top of it. So you have a survival loop, which is pretty hard. Get to the
Okay.
weather tower, we give you a map and a compass and not much else. Some basic survival mechanics, and it's a game against yourself more than anything else, and kind of the decisions. you
Ah,
make. But
fighting
we also
nah.
have just objective survival.
I thought
which
they
is
got
just
that
seeing
mega
what
වගේ නේ
happens
watch
in the
tower නේ
world,
game එනවා
and,
green
for
hill වගේ ගොඩක්
those that just like a hike, the differentiator or
Ah,
the
දන්සෝ
I
ඉන්නේ
think, yeah,
නරුටෝ එක ඒක තමයි
essentially infinite maps of 8x8 scale. Like we have a map editor in the game.
watch
and
tower
stuff like
අර
that.
අර
We want
මේ
to be able to
firefighter
give you
කෙනෙක්ද
the
ලැබුගිනි
ability
නිවන
to
dialogue
give
එකක
it
ඉන්න
to
තියෙන
someone, so I
Yeah,
can send
okay.
you like a
ඒ වගේ
HTTP
scene
file
නෙමෙයි.
that's
Firewatch,
the game,
Firewatch.
අන්න,
loads of
Firewatch.
map and a seed, and I
Firewatch.
can share stuff I've built with you with just a link, right? So it's kind of Go Way Back is just it's a technological experiment.
Okay.
for proving
ඒ කියන්නේ තඩි
some
බල්ලෙක්
technology
ඉන්නවා.
we've developed. It was no
Aduh.
longer an experiment; it's in production. So it
වංග
works.
ඒරියා
But
වංග
it's
කිය හැකිද
also going back to my love of survival games and those kind
දැන්
of
අලු කටහඬක්
urgent,
තියෙනවා
ඩෙක්ස්ටේ
just-
කටහඬ මට
I'm not
නෙකෝගේ වගේ
giving you
හෙනවා
missions to do. It's just
Yeah.
get there,
Uh-huh.
and how you get
Oh,
there is
what
fully up
the
to you. Basically, if you play the same scene,
ඇහැ
you
අද
get the same weather. I'm pretty
What the
sure
heck,
you
man?
can
Mali
calculate it, and you maybe get the same loot. So you and
That's
four
what I
friends
අද්දයක් ඔය
could technically race to the weather tower. and see who gets there first because you have safe conditions. And while we don't have multiplayer yet, you have this kind of asynchronous multiplayer. But as long as you can share the scene
Hello,
with people.
Dexter
I thought,
බැහැරගත්තේ
wouldn't that
කවුද?
be a cool thing for events where you have 16 streamers and see how long they can survive in objective survive mode, right? Or see who can race to the weather tower quickest. Or you can set up the weather just to get
Who are you?
and see who lasts
Who
the longest.
are
There's a
you?
weather tower
Dude,
on top
I'm
of
Dexter.
one of the higher points.
Well,
in the
what
map.
the fuck?
It's generally
Set
you'll
නෑ,
see
set නෑ, කටහඬ
we
වෙනස්
do
කරලා set
have
නෑ.
prompts now that tell you what to do in the
අඩෝ
world.
මාත්
But yeah,
වෙනස්
just
කරාට
simple
පස්සේ මගේ
survival
කටහඬ වෙනස්
mechanics.
වෙයිද දන්නේ
Keep
නෑනේ.
yourself warm, keep yourself dry,
Okay.
light fires, board up windows.
මොකක් වෙනස්
keep your
කරාට?
body in a good
headset
temperature
අර බලහන්කො
across the
set
map.
නෑ
And
බං
we don't
මුගේ
tell you
කටහඬ.
where you are on the map, except when you find a new map in the world.
ඒ
and it
නෑ
takes
ටිකක්
position,
headset
you-
මාරු
you're
කරේ.
left for basic navigation. It's kind of set in the 80s,
In the way.
so
වෙන්න
you
වෙන්න.
don't have digital
Okay.
GPS, stuff like that. I want to make sure that the worlds we're generating have enough depth that when we add story,
Player
mission,
unknown?
quest-based
මම live එක බලන්න.
content, that the worlds feel like coherent and real enough that it makes sense. Like I want to have pathing, I want to have like infrastructure,
I think
like,
world era
telephone
maru.
lines,
World era
this
ලස්සන
kind of
ලාඩ.
stuff. So the
Optimize
cabins
නම්
aren't
තවත්
just
සුපිරිය.
random cabins in the forest. That there seems
ඒවා
to be
නගියනවා.
some
අන්න ඒක
like,
තමයි
you know,
ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේ
logical
මෙතනදී.
placement of stuff in the world.
Oh,
And once
good,
we have those
Indians
in, then we
say
can more
that.
easily
Oh.
go, well, okay, you need to connect all the substations to bring power to the weather tower so you can
Run the
get a
merit
message
magic,
or go and do various things.
Got
Right
you,
now,
yeah,
it's-
when
there's a
freedom
bunch of
that-
cabins and there's survival
Oh,
mechanics, but
nee.
we want to add a lot more depth
People
to
get
the,
handled,
the
yeah,
environment.
I
This
would
is a
say-
tech demo. I always said I wanted to release a free tech demo of the engine we're building, and that's what Preface is. And the kind of poetic thing is that my last game,
ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක
Bro,
තනිකරම
business
වෙදර් සිස්ටම් එක තමයි
because
මං
it would
හිතන්නේ
just be a
තියෙනම
visualization
චැලෙන්ජ්
of
එකකට
what's
තියෙන්නේ.
possible with our engine at that
Oh,
time.
ඒ කියන්නේ වෙදර්
And
එන්ජින්
it's
එක ගැන
more
කතා
like
කරන්නේ
Minecraft
ඒකයි උන් අර
survival, that it's an
මං හිතන්නේ අර
example of what
නිකන්
you can do
කැලේක
with the
ජීවත් වෙන
engine.
එක තමයි
ඒ
අර
මොකද්ද
සීන්
බං ඒ කටහඬ වෙලා තියෙන සිරාට.
So you can do
එක
anything
තමයි
with
අහන්නේ අපි.
Oh, that's the-
ඒක තමයි අහන්නේ අපි.
Oh, it's change එකක් දාලා
3D. I don't see anyone working
නෑ
towards
නෑ
that.
යකෝ
I
මොබයිල්
see small bubbles, but I
What
don't
the
see
fuck,
anyone
man?
really
Why
trying to do
it-
Earth scale terrain with millions of
Nah.
people. And that's kind of the bigger goal. And that's
මේ
why we focus on
මේ
this
වීඩියෝ එකේ
Game is
සවුන්ඩ්
that
අවුල
you should
නැහැ
be
නේ
able to
ඔබලා
do
කටහඬ වල
anything from
ඇහෙනවනේ
10 by 10
ගේම් එකේ සවුන්ඩ්
to
එක
100
I'll
by
do
100
Oh, yeah.
with 5v5
එනකෙච්චර.
or 100v100 relatively easily
Una
and
vez
not
que
have
tú-
any problems.
Oh,
We
mu
will
ene ke
build
tamaba?
maybe an Earth scale terrain, maybe smaller, with hopefully a network
crash
core
out
that
වෙන මල්ලේද
supports millions of people. That will be
Oh,
kind
වෙන්න
of a
පුළුවන් ඈ.
survival civilization MMO type game. But again, that's just one layer of the world. Like I want you to be able to just
MMO
jump
type of
around the
game?
world and see what's happening, because you should be
Yeah.
able to, like, I think if you want to interact with the world, there should be a layer of survival you have to do, or a layer of gameplay.
නෑ මං
in
අහන්නේ
order to
එතකොට
kind of
gameplay
leave your
loop එක
impression on the
මොකක්ද?
world.
ඒකේ
කතා මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ?
අන්න ඒක තමයි මට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ
Oh,
ගේම් ප්ලේ ලූප් එක මොකක්ද? What the heck is a gameplay loop?
Quebec Charlie to Quebec Romeo Foxtrot. We got your location report. We are monitoring you.
I'm a new
ආ
guy, brother.
ආ දැන් නම් හරි වගේ.
මේ අරක බං අර PUBG ල හදන්නේ?
කාප්ටන්ලාගේ අර ඒකද?
ඔව් 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 ඒකනේ.
අර එන්ටිටිස් එහෙම තියෙන නමුත්
යප් 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 යප්
ඒකද?
ඒක ඌ දැන් මෙච්චරලා කතා කරේ වර්ල්ඩ් එකේ තියෙන වෙදර් සිස්ටම් එක ගැන.
ඒකද? අනේ නෙමෙයි.
මැරිලා නම් සැටිස්ෆයි.
අඩෝ ඒක නම් මේ එනමිස්ලා ඉන්ටරෙස්ටිං වගේ ඈ.
අඩෝ ඒකද මට තාමත්.
ඒකද මාතාන එක තමයි ඒකද?
ඒක එදා වෙන්නපු ට්‍රේලර් එකට වෙනස් නේ. ඒකත් වගේ හරි.
ඒක වගේ ලයින් එකක් තියෙනවා. මට තාම හිතාගන්න මොකද්ද කියලා.
එලාගෙන එක තියෙනවා එලාගෙන නැතිද? ඒක ඩාර්ක් එකක් හැබැයි.
හරි මාංජේ මිකල්. හරි මාංජේ.
ආ ඒකේ PVP තියෙනවා.
අර අස්ස එක නා ඔල්ල හැබැයි.
ආ සතෙක් වෙලා යන්න පුළුවන් බං ආ.
ආ
තාහැ.
ඒ අරගෙත් තෝම තියෙන තිබ්බනේ.
ඔව් ඒකෙත් තිබ්බා. ඒක තමයිව.
අර අපි 아무තු එන්ටිටි එකක් වෙන්න එක බලන්න. නම තමයි බලන්න.
දාන්සෝ ඉන්නේ නරුටෝ එකේලු අර බලපන් ඇත්තනේ අනුසේගේ. දැන් ඒක
Beautiful lights.
ඒක නෙවෙයිනේ.
ඒක නෙවෙයිනේ. ඒක නෙවෙයි.
ඒක නෙවෙයි.
In a world where pixels
Apa hili bis.
මට දෙන
අසල නෙවෙයි.
ප්‍රශ්නේ
there's
nostalgia purposes.
I'm just with you. I'm Dominic John,
ඒ
the
වගේ තමයි.
dev behind Project
ඒක
Shadow.
දැන්
Nostalgia,
ගොඩක් ඔය
yep.
වගේ.
3D pixelated RPG that's a love letter to classic immersive
හොඳ නම්
sims
හොඳයි
like
ඉතින්.
Thief and System Shock.
Yeah.
This video is a
What
series
is
of
it?
prototype
Let's
rooms.
see
Artist
it.
style try
working
කරන
on
එක
some of the
කොහොමද
core
හොඳයි?
systems in. No art, no assets,
අතර
movie
මේ
generated by AI. This is
forgive me
all
පාද එක.
human
ඒක
made,
හරිද?
hand placed,
නෑ.
made by me and
Forgive me
artists like
පාද.
me because
ඒකත්
we
ඔය
love
වගේ.
what we do.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකේ 3D නෙවෙයි. ඒ කියන්නේ තියෙන ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එහෙම ඔක්කොම 3D 2D අපි හැරෙන ඩිරෙක්ෂන් එකට ඒ 2D එකකට හැරෙනවා.
ආ.
ඒක ඒවට අපිට පේන්නේ 3D. ඒ පට්ටේ forgive me පාද. ඒක ඩූම් වගේ නෑ ගියේ. ඒකේ මොකක්ද තියෙන්නේ
If
තමයි.
you have headphones, I would highly suggest wearing them. All the audio in Project Shadow Glass is going to be 3D. and
Horror
not
game
just
vibe
the
එකකුත් තියෙනවා.
simulated. The music emanating from this orb is going into the left ear
Kingdom
and
2
the right ear, but
Crows.
as I change the size
Kingdom
of the
2
space,
Crows play කරලා තියෙනවද? ඔබ play කරලා තියෙනවද විෂය?
you can hear the
මම නම් play කරලා
character
නැහැ.
of the sound.
Kingdom 2 Crows.
Kingdom 2?
මම play කරලා නැහැ ඒක. මම අහුවෙත් අද.
Kingdom 2 Cross the Crown ද?
Crown, sorry. ඌ එන්නේ ගහලා නැහැ.
ඕ ඒක මේක මේ වගේ තිබ්බා. මේ පාර වීඩියෝ එකේ.
We can still hear it coming
හොඳ
from
ඒ
the
වගේ
opening
ගේම් එකක් තිබ්බා.
in each ear.
ඒ 2 එකක් කරනවා. මම ඒ වගේ ගේම් එකක් දෝක සයිඩ්
කියන්නේ මම මුට වැදින්න වදිනවා කියලා.
නෑ. ෆිසික්ස් හොඳයි ඒක සිරාවට. මං හිතන්නේ ඒක යම්කිසි ආතල්ලයක් තියෙයි වුණාට බලහක් කියලා. ළඟට යද්දී ඒක පික්සලේටඩ් ගතිය නැති වෙනවා.
අනේ.
අර
Actually launched the Shadow Glass Discord today, so if you have any ideas or
Crowns,
suggestions or just
Crowns,
want to follow
Crowns.
along, feel free to wishlist Project Shadow Glass on Steam. I hope you
Project
enjoyed this sneak peek
Shadow
on
Glass.
how things are coming along. Thank you so
Oh,
much,
chat tag,
all of the
chat tag.
crew at New
Huh?
Game Plus for having me. Be well, my friends.
ඒක වෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ බග් ගලා YouTube.
සිරාට
කී දෙනෙක් බලන් ඉන්නවද YouTube?
මන් දන්නේ මම
To start with,
කිසිම
prolonged
planning
way
එකක්
back,
නැතුව
another
දැන්
survival game that we're seeing, and we were
Well,
talking.
open
It's
කරේ
a
වත්න
bare
chat එකේ.
bones survival game where there is no common enemy. Your enemy is the elements.
උබේ
where you just
රෙද්දන්
have to
නෙවෙයි
try
මම
and
කියන්නේ
survive
මේ මේ
and make it to that point.
මේක
So if you guys don't know
බලමු.
Brennan Green, he not only was behind the Battle Royale mode of H1Z1, which we talked a long time
Stream
about, he was also the creator of PUBG.
ඒක
So
තමයි ඉතින් මන්
people have a
දන්නේ
lot of
නැහැ
faith in
කියලා
him and what he calls his 10-year plan. And he talks about his ultimate goal being he wants a
Right?
million players on a server. He wants the internet to be made 3D and for all of us to
The guy?
actually truly be able to play together. Which I know is a crazy transition from us talking about a survival game.
Player survival game?
Like we want to cover their survival game because I love survival games and they're going to be branching out in this game for
Mood
the next
game
few
එකද?
years until they
මං
have
හිතන්නේ
multiplayer,
හැමෝම
until they have weapons and they have
හැමෝම ගේම්
Games-
PvE
streamers
and
තමයි.
animals to fight against.
සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච
But
ඉඩයි
it's
මං
also
හිතන්නේ.
part of a much
Also
bigger
story.
picture.
They kinda go with that.
They will be adding also a story to the
Things
world.
to do, yeah.
Titanic.
Yes.
That's got to be
Yeah.
like the most ambitious, one of
Me
the most
wanna die.
ambitious projects out there.
ඌ
Right?
ඒක
Yeah, I
තමයි
mean, it's
ඌ
crazy to
What's
think
so
about.
funny about him is that he's like, yeah, I want
ඌ නිකන් confuse උන් ගමු.
together on like a gigantic.
දැන් අර ඔබ දැන් මෙතන ඉඳන් කම්පියුටර් වෙලා ඉන්නේ. අන්න ඒ වගේ.
Done that yet. Next game we talked about was Beautiful
Sarala
Light
iwa
by
tanne.
Deep Worlds SA. That's a PvPvE tactical
PvPvE.
extraction.
උට ප්‍රශ්න ටික හරි ලැප් එකට එනවා.
That's just what the hell?
And there's also
ඒක තමයි මගේ
But
extraction
extraction
shoot
shoot
scene එකක් තියෙන්නේ.
that we saw in it. Looks like I'm
ඒකේ මං
ප්‍රාගෝ වගේ තමයි.
හැබැයි මේ
And I appreciate
extraction
that it
shoot
was
ඔච්චර ඇවිල්ලා play කරන්න වෙලාව දිනවද මිනිස්සුන්ට?
sort of Pip Boy looking.
Extraction
sort of-
shoot වලට
Speaking
fan
of
base එක
Pip
නඩුයි ඈ.
I actually
තේල්
looked
වෙනවා
up
වැඩි
what
ටක්.
that's called. It's called.
ඉතින්
Nah,
මං
ඒක ගාලා
මේකනේ
වගේ
scene එක
film වගේ.
high risk low reward නේ. ඒකයි
Write that one down. Write that one down.
That word.
But it's,
High
it's
risk
really,
neighbor.
really cool.
Risk
Marauders
Especially
කියලා game එකක්
because
පෙන්වනවා.
it's like
ඒකත්
hyper immersive. There's no
මේ
UI
දෙන්න
popping up. being
ඇවිල්ලා
like,
developers
"Oh,
strike
attack
එකේ
incoming." It's just no. You are in the moment. You're in the game.
ඔය Marvel
listen around
t-shirt
you,
එකක්
look at the
ඇදන්
thing on
ඉන්න
the
එක
character
gossip
itself.
channel
I love
එකක්
that.
So you can play as a
කරන්නේ.
monster,
Yeah, yeah.
or
The game
as,
update කියලා.
or as the
ඩයිලෙක් ගොසිප් channel එකක් කරන්නේ මේ Marvel shirt එක දාලා.
The Valerie, she just threw up in her mouth.
ඕකේ
I
බලන්න.
have nothing against controllers, but I believe there's a right time for mouse and keyboard and a right time for keyboards. And he believes that the right time for a controller is when you're playing shooter games. It's obviously better than mouse and keyboard is better for that. But not for him.
I would edit my own YouTube videos with a controller.
Yeah, he said that earlier.
That's how passionate.
Which is a patently insane thing to say.
What the fuck, man?
Project Shadow Glass.
Voxel art. I really enjoy
ඌ PlayStation ඉතින් එක.
This is Star Helm Studios.
That's a good question. What's
we've
this
all
bad?
seen it. I think it went viral
What
from
is bad?
that AI post. There was like an AI
Shooters
post that
වලට
looked
නම්
just like it,
controllers
and then he was
වලට
like,
වඩා
I'm
mouse
making a
keyboard
game.
එක හොඳයි
This is
නීම.
not AI.
I looked up the
keyboard
video
හොඳයි නේද?
because he has a YouTube channel. where you can
Shooters
actually
වලට
see
මං
kind of
හිතන්නේ
behind the
yeah.
scenes. And when that clip
100%.
of the AI generated art went viral, he saw it and thought like, I didn't think anybody wanted this. I was just like, it was a fun side project.
control ගහන ඉන්නනේ.
He saw people wanted it and thought it looked
අපේ
awesome.
අම්මා
and he
Apex
put it
එකේම
out there.
ගහන උන් ඉන්නකෝ
We
වඩා
talked about
ගන්න.
it earlier, you know, there's a desire for stuff like that, more simplicity, kind of retro feel.
It feels like the game is still like learning what it wants to be. Like he's working on the graphics, the basics, the music, and as like they have a bow and an arrow, and hopefully as they work on the project, they start feeling what it will grow to be, what kind of game it will
ඒකේ මූණ
develop itself
මහතයිනේ.
into.
Yeah, my understanding is right now it is just Project
Oh,
Shadow
okay.
Glass.
Yeah.
It's going to
Dekala
eventually
boleh.
become like a video game, but right now it's just kind of proof of concept that the art works. The crazy math behind it works.
Shooters වලට
and, like,
controller OP aim
it can
assist.
grow to a
මගේ
game.
multiplayer වලට aim
I
assist
wish him
නැහැ
nothing
සාමාන්‍යයෙන්.
but success.
Yeah, he seems like a
Yeah.
It seems like I just
You know?
love a
Yeah.
passion project.
Yeah.
You can
It's
put
on there.
art in that.
And I
සාමාන්‍යයෙන්
feel like I
තියෙනවා.
initially
Yeah,
like everyone
Apex
else when I
වලත්
went so
තියෙනවා.
I got attached
What
to
the
that
heck,
same
man?
artwork, but then when he further
දැන්
explains
මේ
and shows
ඒ
us the
මැජික්
concepts that
නැතුව
we weren't
ගහන්න
expecting out
අමාරුයි
of a
නේද?
game with that artwork
නාවට
and that
දීලා
design,
තියෙනවා.
when
හැම
he's
ගේම්
showing,
එකකම.
you said the R6 lean in there, and you,
Oh yeah, that threw me off. The little bow
Yeah, it's like,
behind.
whoa.
I was like, is that a Rainbow Six
you threw that,
Siege?
you threw that in there, and then of course they got the wall grapple, and then with the whole.
ඒ
audio
කියන්නේ
design as well.
control
I mean, I'm
noobs.
deaf in
I
my
remember
left
seeing
ear.
that clip that went viral. I remember seeing it. I was like, wow, that looks.
aim assist
incredible.
කියන්නේ කො
Walking
තනිකර
up the
හැකක්
castle.
නේ.
කියන්න පුළුවන්.
The
This
Expanse
section we have three what I would consider kind of sci-fi games a little bit.
ඔක්කොම අලුත් ඒවා තියෙනවා.
ඔක්කොම
We
අලුත්
have
ඒවා නේ
Aphelion
ඉන්දිය
from
ඒවා
Don't
නේ.
Nod,
ගොඩක්.
which we have an incredible look behind the scenes of the music with the composer themselves, as well as the Expanse Osiris Reborn from Owlcat. If you're familiar with the Expanse, super
Warzone
exciting,
එහෙම
and
controller
also
පට්ට
Distant
OP.
Shores.
Warzone කොහොමත් ජරා ගොඩක් කියලානේ තියෙන එකවත් අවුලක් නැහැ කින්ද. උම්ම කාගත්තනේ ගේම් එක. අඩෝ ඒකේ නම් අම්මසේ. අඩෝ
My name is Amin Bouafa. I'm a film music composer and I am the
Musical
composer
journey.
for Aphelion.
එතනින්ම මට ගේම් එකේ තියෙන ආසාව නැති වුණා.
From Talal saying that he loved the score of some.
ඇයි ඔබ
They
music
are
කියන්නේ?
they are working in a new video game.
ඒක හරි නෑ ගම.
And inviting me to come to the studio and to.
මට කොටන්න ඕනි brother.
මයි ටැග්.
මට කොටන්න ඕනි.
To understand
සින්දු අහන්න ඕනේ අපි.
මට සින්දු අහන්න ඕනේ. I want to fucking crush the thing.
Interactive. So how
Big
to
dick
compose,
damage,
how to
brother.
write music
Big
that
dick
would be
damage.
interactive. With models, with stems, with
සින්දු
separating
ප්‍රොඩියුස්
the
කරගෙන ඉන්න
different
බ්ලොග්
elements.
කරනවා.
And at the same time, how could the music, how
Survival
the
game එක
structure
විතරයි මට
of
කොටන්න
music
ඕනේ නැත්තේ.
would be in
අනිත් හැම ගේම් එකම
ෆොටෝන එකේ හදන්න.
ඔව් මට ඒකේ හදන්න ඕනේ.
first to have the story of Ariane and Thomas, like that the
මේක
ඉතින්
නිකන්
අනිත් ඒවා නම් ආතල්. මොනවා වෙයිද දන්නේ.
අර වගේ එකක් නේද මොකද්ද මේ කොජීමගේ
relationship
Interact.
between them.
නෑ
කොජීමගේ.
මොකද්ද
Then
Death
the
Stranding
frozen
ඒ වගේ
aspect
සීන්
of
එකක්
the
නේද
music. I mean,
ඒ
for
වගේ
me,
තමයි
ඒ
එහෙනම්
වගේ
ඉන්ටරැක්ටිව්
control
වගේ.
aim
very
assist aim
important
bolt in
first
mouse
to-
and keyboards
to feel the
ඔව් ඔව් ඔව්
the cold
ඒ
in the
aim
music.
assist කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි aim bolt තමයි ඒක
The
තමයි
wind,
හැකක් නේ
feel
කියලා
the-
තනික
the ice. It's an
ඒක
instrument
cosplay
that
බා
was
වෙන්නේ.
invented by the Bashir brothers in the mid 20th century.
අඩු ඒ මොකද්ද බං ඒ
For me, it
අර?
looks like an alien.
එන අමුතු
instrument.
එකක්
When you see it, cannot even.
සද්දේ කරන්නේ.
It's a musical instrument.
අර මෙව් එකක් වගේ තමයි බං. ඔක පියානෝ එකක් වගේ
Get your
තමයි.
hands in water.
එක එක ඒ කියන්නේ ගේම් එකට සවුන්ඩ් ඉෆෙක්ට් එහෙම ඕක ගන්න අරන් කරන්න
Crystal buttons that are in this
මම බාධා ගන්නවා වගේ.
metal
ආ මම දැකලා තියෙනවා ඔය වගේ
එහෙම
ඕකේ
තමයි යූස් කරන්නේ.
ඔය වගේ සීන් එකක් තියෙනවලු
ගේම් වලට හොරෝ ෆිල්ම් වලට එහෙම සවුන්ඩ් ඉෆෙක්ට් ගන්න ඕක.
අර කූංග සද්දයක් එන්න බං ගොඩක් ඔය හොල්ම ෆිල්ම් වල එහෙම
magical
අන්න ටෝන් එක එන්න ඕගේ
of in the score.
ඔයට ඕන්න ගන්න
එතන ඉස්සාදීව ග්ලාස් එක වගේ
ඒකෙන් ඒක ඇම්ප්ලිෆයි වෙනවා සවුන්ඩ් එක ඇම්ප්ලිෆයි වෙනවා වදුනේ වීඩියෝ එක
There is a
මොකද මේ
sacred
බාර
feeling
මුංගල්
also
හිරුණා
to this planet.
ඉතින් මගේ වැරද්දක්
It's a
කියලා
huge planet, but I wanted
නිකන් ගියා
this
වගේ
huge
පොඩ්ඩක්
instrument and to that it
එහෙම ලයින් එකක්
මියුසික් වලට
තියෙනවානේ
වුණා මේව
soft. The organ has a lot of sounds. It could be
Why,
aggressive,
bruh?
it could be very aggressive.
දැන් ඒවා දැකලම දැක්ක ගමන් කියන්න
For me, it's the planet. The planet
ඇදලා
is
ඇදලා
very welcoming.
ඔබ ඩැමර්
Suddenly, very, how to say, very dangerous.
බරනන වැඩි තමයි
අර වගේ තමයි මම ඩෙත් ස්ට්‍රෑන්ඩින් වගේ තමයි මං හිතන්නේ
තියෙනවා ගේම් එක පිටින්
Could give this mad gestures feeling.
ගේම් එක කෝ එක කොහොමද දන්නේ
Yup.
මොන වගේ දෙයක්ද දන්නේ නැති
ඒ වුණාට අර
ඉතින් ඒ වුණාට බලහංග
බරනගේ නූට මියසිෂන් ටයිප්
ඒක
බලහංග ඉතින් මූ ගේම් රිවිව් එකට ඇවිල්ලා කතා කරන්නේ ගේම් එකේ මියුසික් විතරයි what about the gameplay
ඒක තමයි
what about the
It's,
gameplay
a lot of fun and a lot of passion.
ටගේ සෙටප් එක
I am only care about the gameplay brother
ගේම් එක මොනවද වෙන්නේ
ඒකදා ගේම් ලූප් එක මොකක්ද ගේම් ලූප් එක මොකක්ද ගේම් ලූප්
රයිවල් මොකක්ද හොරගේ
නෑ ඒක නිකන් සිමියුලේෂන් එකක් සිමියුලේට් එකක් මං හිතන්නේ
ඔව් පොජිමලත් වඩා
ඔව්
මට උඩවත් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ ගේම් එක මොකක්ද කියන්නේ
ඕකේ අන්න
okay this one is good
එකා තියෙනවා
මේකා තියෙනවා ස්පේස්ෂිප්
ටයිටන් කට්ටින බලලා තීරණය කරන්න එපා මහත්තයෝ
තාවස් වගේ අන්තේ
We had some
And
discussions
price is
in
really-
the early stages of the production, to be honest,
මේකේ
to go
කලින්
fully
trailer
file
එකක්
system
තියෙනවා.
or
මම දැකලා
something else.
මම
And
දැක්කේ නෑ.
again, we started with sitting
Characters
down and
here.
lining up what
graphic
are possible ways that the player might perceive the game. The power fantasies, how he can
Mega.
express himself
Nah,
in
nah,
combat.
mega.
So
The
he might want
experiences.
to be a sniper, might want to be a hacker, maybe an engineer, something else. As we designed those play styles,
Don't tell me
we,
hero shoot එකක්
thought
කියලා ඒක
how to mix it up a bit.
ඔව් ඒක කියන්නේ අන්තිමෝත් එක වෙන්න ගේම් එක
සීම් ලයික් මචන් ඒ වගේ
during the game. So,
Uh,
for
nah,
example,
nah, nah,
when
nah.
they need shoulder
Nah,
cannon,
nah,
as we shown in the
Nah,
trailer, even
nah.
if
Yeah,
he
nah,
is
nah.
අදන්නේ multiplayer
to
මේවා තියෙනවා
experiment with that, why not?
characters
fits
දැන්
the
කිව්වේ set
universe,
එක.
it fits the playstyle. He might want
ඔව්.
to see how it works.
මේවා
we
කවබේ
decided
shoot
why
එක
not to give him the possibility to do that. That was the
Yeah,
idea
for-
behind the playstyle. So
yes,
playstyle is basically the starting preset that kind of gently guides you towards the
හැබැයි මේක
certain
walk
direction.
කියන්න බෑ මොකද female character එක
මේ
ලස්සන
Mass
Of-
Effect
of how you
Mass
play the
Effect
game.
Gears
At some
වගේ
point, the player will need to.
නෑ
to
මං කියන්නේ
commit
ඒක
to his
walk වෙන්න
choices.
විදියක් නෑ
So
මොකද
again,
female
it's
character එක
important
ලස්සන
part of the
Oh.
choices.
Oh.
You know, if you just can switch everything on the fly, that kind of makes your choices less important.
ඕරම
So at some point, you need to stick to particular guns, particular gadgets, and you just
උඩ
build
නිදිමත
around
වගේ
them.
කියන්නේ
We give you some time to
උනා
experiment.
නිදාගෙන
with
නෑ
what
බං
you
ඇස්
need
දෙක
to
බලන්න
count. During
ඒක
the
තමයි ඇස් දෙක
configuration, you
ඇස් දෙක
will,
රත් වෙලා ඉන්න
choose
නෑනේ
between three major factions. Your origin.
ඇති
so
ඒ වගේ
it will be,
ඉන්ඩි
either,
ගේම්ස් ලත් එන එක
Belter or Earth
Oh.
or Martian. Facial customization.
නෑ මම නම්
දැන්
කියන්නේ
දැකලා
දැන්
පාර
ඉතින්
Choose your
ඉන්ඩි
body
ගේම්
type.
ලනේ කවදා හරි ට්‍රිපල් A වෙන්නේ ඒක තමයි සීන් එක මේක බං මේ නිව් ගේම් ප්ලස් කියලා ඉවෙන්ට් එක දැන් අවුරුදු කීයක් තිබ්බද මේක මේ අවුරුදු විතරද
මේක තිබ්බ නැද්ද මට මතක
මේක මේ අවුරුද්දෙන් පටන් ගන්න සීන් එකක් නේ මම බැලුවා නිව් ගේම් ප්ලස් කියලා සර්ච් කළා කලින් ඒවා නම් ආවේ නැහැ
බෑ ඒක තමයි කවුරුත්
අලුතෙන් පටන් ගත්ත ඉවෙන්ට් එකක් මං හිතන්නේ
start on eras and witness basically the events from a different angle, and this part will be to some degree shown in
අඩු
your
ඒක නම්
character
ගතිය රෝල්
creation.
වියන එක
Every companion
කෙඩි
should
දිදී
belong somewhere in the universe, and they
දැන්
have
ගේම්
their
Dodging
own
එක
ගේම් සෙට් එකේ මේ
background, consisting of,
ෆිසික්ස් එකේ මාරු ගේම් එක
acquaintance, they
Animations
some
එක
background story, their own
හොඳයි.
struggles. All
බලන්න.
this stuff will influence.
එකම
how
problem
they
එක මට
perceive
තියෙන
the situations,
optimization.
player encounters. So
That's the-
Okay.
that's the
අපි හැමෝටම තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ මචං.
performance
හැමෝටම
performance
තියෙන
performance
they
තමයි
might
ලොකු
hint you
problem එක
towards some decisions. They might
මම
provide you
ඇස්
some
උනත්
assistance events, or maybe even some crucial contacts to go for
Game design direct.
help, for advice, for military support.
40 එකකින් පටන් ගන්න එක එතකොට
Have
සතුටුයි.
their
අර
own,
බලහංග.
stories,
Ooh.
their own
ඉතාංග
struggles,
performance.
and you can
Ooh.
choose
We have to think about that.
them, or
We have to
maybe
think
ignore
about that.
their own stories, totally
RAM එකක්
depending on
20000යි.
how you want to be invested in
RAM
this
එකක්
particular
20000යි. ඒ
campaign.
8GB එකක්
The
මහත්තයා.
choices you make for those companions also
Yep.
will matter in
Yep.
long term.
Yep, some of them will have romances, and you can see on our background companions.
Perfect,
We cannot
thank
say which who is going to have romance, but there will definitely be romance in our
Ooh.
game.
It's a
Ooh,
small
romantic.
crew
Okay.
on the small ship. You know, the
Ooh.
expanse.
I hope it's not
news
gay
that
or lesbian.
Everyone flies
So,
in very
gay,
tight spaces
තියෙන්න ඉඩ
for a
තියෙනවා.
very long time.
ඇතුවනේ.
So
Oh.
there is a dynamics in the crew
ඇතුව
as
නෙමෙයි,
well.
ඇතුව.
We have a few layers of
හැබැයි
combat
මෙහෙමයි.
system. First of all, it's obviously the gunplay.
100% I against the
Classes of
freaking
weapons,
gay.
that
But
you can
let's
use.
come to lesbian.
And mostly
I have
you
some
do
hesitation.
the-
It's okay, නේ.
so
මේ
it's a cover-based, gunplay game. And the second layer of the combat system is that's your
Independent, brother.
that
Yeah, brother.
might be more like offensive ones, maybe something like a grenade or a shoulder cannon, or
Ang
maybe
Africa.
something more defensive like a shield, or maybe a protective drone.
දැක්ක ගමන්
gadgets,
Africa.
අඩු ඕමයි
දැන් drone නෙවෙයි
Should
brother.
I mention
දැන්
there
drone
are
නෙවෙයි
some play
ආක් එකක්.
styles that are mostly focused on using your gadgets rather than using your weapons. Third layer, but still very important, that's obviously your companions. They have their impact on the combat. They have what we call combat opportunities. That's particular situations when you can
කතාවක් ලියාගෙන
companion
ඇවිල්ලා
to use an exploit in the arena, in the environment to gain a certain
Mass
advantage
Effect
in
වගේ
combat.
line එකකුත්
We
තියෙනවා.
decided against you know the management, the gameplay part of the survival stuff. So you won't be counting your
Mass
gallons
Effect,
of
Dead
reaction
Space,
mass
Ah,
Dead
or
Space,
how much
sorry,
water you
Dead
need to
Space.
recycle
Mass
before it
Effect,
dries
sorry.
out. Nothing like that.
Dead
But
Space.
still,
management
the
and then
expansion universe is very
Satisfactory.
dangerous. So in terms of
Satisfactory,
management,
isn't
it?
survival will be a part of the game. You will have a tremendous enemy. You will have
We are obsessed, brother. We are obsessed. We
uh,
want to
in
farm,
the
brother.
you will
We
have
want to
to
farm.
get out somehow. There will be a lot of survival in terms of your player experience, just not as a particular mechanic.
ගාතිය
You
කොහොමද
will be able to fly around
හැබැයි
the
ගොඩක්
solar system.
සිනමැටික් කනම් මන
You,
මුත්තියන සෑහෙන්න නේ
will be able to
මේක
හදලා
නිකන්
ගොඩක් තියෙනවා.
interactive drama එකක් වගේ
we
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
it before that we
Alpha
have
gameplay
Luna, Mars,
පටන් ගත්තා.
Ceres, Io, and some other cool places to visit. And some of those places will be like major social hubs where you can just walk around, meet other people, drink at the bar,
දැන් voice එක හරිනේ?
shop
හරි.
for better
ඒ
equipment
තියෙනවා
and
සාමාන්‍යයෙන්.
so you will have plenty of
මොන කුණුහරු පැද්ද
places
වංගුනේ?
to go and to visit.
ඔබගේ නිකන් උගුරට මොකක් හරි
Voice
වෙලා
එක
වගේ.
වගේද?
Universe is
එත් නෑ මට
cool
ටකරන් voice එක
and
ඕනේ.
some
Oh, yes.
characters
ඔව් brother
might
ටකරන්
die
voice එක නැතුව
because
ටිකක්
of
අවුල්
your
වගේ.
choices. Stay tuned for more. We will show more
Really?
very soon. Have something cooking. I hope you will like it.
Welcome back, Aaron. We trust your flight was smooth.
Another sci-fi? I hate sci-fi echo. Where is the fucking fantasy, brother? Where is the fucking fantasy?
We've landed you on the outskirts.
Where is the sword?
Fucking fantasy.
Where is the magic? Where is the elf?
yes.
That's the
අන්නාවගේ
elf.
real theory එකට.
Where's the furries?
ටෙල් වෙලා ටිකක් ඔය තියෙනවා.
Where's the furries?
Furries.
You said you would visit me here, but you never did. Look, bygones be bygones. Just
Bygones be
find me
bygones.
west zone. I'll be waiting.
නිකන් Star Wars වගේ.
ඔබට මතකද ඉස්සර ගේම් එකක් තිබ්බ ඔය වගේ එක එක විතර කරන්න.
Ghost Rider ඔව් කියනවා.
Sometimes I dream about what's under the ocean. A distant shore.
Kinetic energy.
Waiting to be explored.
අර මැරතන් එක වගේ දුවන්න තියෙන මැරතන් නේද ඒක නම නෑනේ. මොකද්ද?
නෑ නෑ පාකෝගේ මේ
මොකද්ද ඒක නම?
අඩු ඒ ගේම් ප්ලේ මෙකැනික්ස් නම් ආතයි.
Interesting.
ඒවා නම් ආත අර වගේ තමයි මං හිතන්නේ දුවන්න වගේ තියෙන සීන් එක.
ගේම් ප්ලේ එකේ කෝ එක තමයි මේ පුත්තක්. ඒක පාකෝ ගේම් එකක් වගේ.
ඔව්. හැබැයි වීඩියෝ නම් තිය සෑහෙන් හදලා කාවට පස්ස සෑහෙන් බැක්ග්‍රවන්් විඩියෝ හෙම දාන්න හද
මයින් ක්‍රාෆ් ගහනවාගේ
ඒ වගේම මොකද මිර රේජ් මිර රේජ් ඔව අන්න ඒක තියන්න අන්නේ වගේ හැබැයි ඒක සක්සෙස්නේ මිර රේජ්
දුවන
ඔන්න බලහගෙන අනිව බං මටනම් ගන්න බෑ මේ වගේ මමනම් වැටෙනවා 100%
ඒ මැකැනික් එක මළුව
අවුනේ අර ඇත් කරන එක රගර ගන්න ඒසින්නේනේ
කන්ට්‍රෝලි සිිස්ටම
අර අර මරු ඒසින්න මරවා
ඒ පසස්තගේ තියෙන හොඳයි
ඒ දුවන් විතරක් නේ
දුවන් විතරන්නේ
ඔක්කො කාට පානිකර මැග්නට් එකක් වුණා ඒක යකඩ කම්බි එහෙම නවන්න දින්න අර අයින් අයින් හැබැයි ඒක හින්ද ස්ලෝ වෙන්නේ නැද්ද ගේම් එක? මං කියන්නේ දුවන්නනේ ගොඩක් වෙලාට ඒක තියෙන්නේ. ඒ පසල් සනමනම් කානේ ස්ලෝ වෙනවා.
මේකේ ටයිම් එක දීලා දන්නේ නැහැ තියෙන ගෝල්.
ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව් එකක් තියෙනවද?
ඔව් නේ මක් හරියක් ඇති.
මොන වෙනස් වුණා ගේම් එකේ තියෙන්නේ.
බොස් ෆයිට් එකක් නේද?
ඕ
තමත් දුවන්න විතර දී නතකට දෙන්න
බොස් ෆයිට් එක ජස්ට කැන බොස් ෆයිට් එක ජස්ට බාගින් ලේස ගැන හරි සතුරේ පාස්මා ගැන
එට ගැවදන්න බීසනය වන්නේ සිදුත්
ඔක සින්දු ටිකකුත් යනවා අනිත් පාර බාද්දී කොපිරයිට් යෝගි බින් කොපිරයිටඩ් කියලා ඇට්නුත්වා හරි සතුට
ඇට්ලා තිබ්බම හරි House of Respawn House of Copy
House of Copy දෙනවා
distance show
අරකේ YouTube එකේ උගේ වීඩියෝ එක බලන්න කියලා කි කවද දෙනවා හොෝ ගාලා
dual protagonist game, so you'll actually be swapping back and forth as they sort of work together. And there's parts where you're separated, parts where maybe you're together, working together.
Very emotional story.
There's so much potential for stories like that. The dual protagonist.
නෑ නෑ එක එක කික් account වලින් දාන්නේ. ස්පෑම් කර.
වෙන account වල දානවා.
I feel like music is a tool to
එකම එකක් දාන්න.
එකම එක දාන්න.
emotions, so
මේ
it's
මේකද
link
එක එකයි.
Music and video, and not just video games, and art in general.
Good music changes a game
everything.
from a game,
Nah.
to a memorable game.
Music
a
doesn't
game that
make
will stick with
games
you
good.
in a long time. So.
Well, and Donut has a
Gameplay
pretty
does.
storied background when it comes to narrative games. whether
Music
it's
enhance the game.
Strange or like one of my old school favorites.
ඒ කියන්නේ ගේම්ප්ලේ එක ගේම්ප්ලේ එක තමයි ගේම් එකක් පොද කරන්නේ මියුසික් එක තවත් සුපිරි කරනවා මියුසික් එක තවත් සුපිරි කරනවා අවෝ ඒ කියන්නේ ගේම් එකේ ඉමර්සිව්නස් එක වැඩි කරන මියුසික් වල ඒක වෙන්නේ දැන් එක්ස්පෙඩිෂන් 33 එකේ මියුසික් නැති වුණා නම් ගේම් ප්ලේ කොච්චර ෆන් නැහැ
ඔව් මාත් ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ
ඒක තමයි ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට ගේම් ප්ලේ එක හොඳයි ඒ වුණාට මියුසික් තමයි ඒක එන්හාන්ස්මන්ට් එක
What I find super impressive is just I feel like people sleep on music so much in games, and then you see behind the scenes of this entire, like, they're in a famous church in Paris playing the organ.
Actually has been a blast to see video game music evolve during the years. Like,
thanks to Expedition 33 music දැන් හැම
it's one of those things when it's working, you like a lot of time you don't think about it.
කෙලින්ම තියෙන්නේ කෙලින්ම ඔපෙරා ඕති
like the Witcher vibes, you know, then you really remember it. But a lot of the games you play, you probably don't look up the soundtrack, even though the game is pretty good, you know?
Ironically, my Spotify rap this year was like mostly video game scores. I think there's often correlation though, whenever a developer does take the music very seriously in a game, it often reflects in every other. I mean, think about it. All the games they have, like you think about the games with the best scores ever, like you just said, The Witcher 3 or whatever. I mean, it correlates to everything else. Every other aspect of the game, they take it seriously. So.
Game that is probably one of the most anticipated sci-fi games for a very long time is The Expanse: Osiris Reborn, which is from Owlcat as well. It is a third-person action RPG, obviously set in the Expanse universe.
The Expanse is a book and a show. They are taking inspiration from both, but at the same time, it doesn't require previous knowledge of either for you to be able to enjoy this. In this game, you're going to be living more or less through what happens in the show. However, from a different perspective, from a different side, with your own group of people, with your own environment, that you got to make your own choices.
I think an important thing to frame all of the Expanse game with is that coming from Owlcat, they're a studio that did like Rogue Trader. Their bread and butter is intense, gritty narratives with unbelievable levels of roleplay depth and choice and consequence, complex systems that interweave. And so seeing them go into this, which is of course a third-person cover-based shooter with many RPG mechanics. It's a different road, and I asked him about that in our interview, and was like, "How did this happen?" Because typically they do sort of an isometric thing, and they just said when we decided we wanted to tackle the Expanse, it required that cinematic flair, and that's what they tackled, and they're doing a phenomenal job. That I mean, the game looks beautiful.
It looks very interesting to me. It looks kind of like Dead Space meets Gears of War,
it's
kind
more
of
like
gameplay-wise. It did. Yeah, Mass Effect as well.
The choice and the reputation you have with your companions will change, because your companions, they told us, will disagree with some of the stuff you do. They'll get upset or
they will have their own opinions.
They'll have their own opinions, and they also one of the interesting things they mentioned was that when you make choices, they're not necessarily going to tell you if that was a big moment, if that what you just said to them is going to seriously affect this thing over here. It will, but that's all behind the scenes.
Interactive scene
went viral as almost a
aliens
it looks like a lot of fun.
Such a unique concept. I could see it being
it's one of those games like you didn't know you wanted, but then you see it, you're like, oh, that looks like it tickles a part of my brain. Yeah.
Like we've seen versions of it before, but with everything it combines, because it makes everyone think of a different game when you see it, because we've heard Half-Life, we've heard Portal. I thought of Only Up during some parts of it.
Yeah, I had Only Up.
Mirror's Edge a little bit.
ඒක Mirror Edge එකයි Portal එක එකතු කරාගේ.
So I think it's going to do
just watching some of that gameplay, I could see the rage already.
Oh yeah, the boss.
Oh yeah,
not happening.
Well, and I think it's also really cool that they have boss mechanics, because like you can tell it started with the idea of using magnets to like manipulate the environment, but then they're like, okay, well we could raise the stakes, take it up a notch with these boss fights that are organic in the space. And
ඔය වගේ boss fight තිබ්බේ ඉස්සර තිබ්බ game set එකක් තිබ්බ ඔය වගේ ගහන්න. දුව හැංගි බේරි
Exactly. Like they could have just stopped with puzzle game. I think a lot of people.
මට මතක නැහැ game එක මොකක්ද කියලා.
Then they go and build on a story.
Psyops එකක්.
Yeah, if it's not just reach a destination or do a final thing, if it's
ඉස්සර
actually
පරණ
narrative,
game
like you
එකක්
said,
මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක ජනප්‍රිය නැති කියලා. ඒකේ තිබ්බ ඔය වගේ mechanics set එක.
Next up, we have two very exciting updates coming from Obsidian, that being some updates for Avowed, as well as
Avowed,
we also got exclusive time with them,
failure.
some interviews, which
You
were
are
very
a failure. You are a failure.
Skyrim copy කරන්න ගියා.
Skyrim copy කරන්න ගියා.
Avowed is a
මම හිතන්නේ Bethesda-ටවත් පුළුවන් මේක Skyrim වලට දෙයක් කළා.
බලන්න මේ Steam DB
plays as an envoy sent by the Emperor of Edir to the Living Lands to investigate a mysterious plague that's kind of spreading throughout the lands, causing chaos, and you play as the envoy trying to figure out what's kind of going on down there. Do things that affect it in positive ways, negative ways, or in between.
I freaking doesn't care.
Type of choice and consequence. In terms of the post-launch things we've been supporting on it, like we've gotten a bunch of abilities added to the ranger and fighter.
24 hours peak එක 913ක් ඉන්න players ලා.
මේ අම්මේ ෆේදින් ෆේල් නෑනේ මල්ටිමිලියන් කම්පැනි එක මල්ටිමිලියන් ගේම් එකක් විසින් යකෝ 900 ගාණක් කියන්නේ වැඩිනේ මං හිතුවේ දෙකක් විතර දෙයි
කියලා boy Skyrim එකේ 34000 ඉන්නේ
අඩ බලහංකෝ ස්කයිරිම් එකට තව චුට්ටයිනේ යකෝ තව කීයද තව 30000කට 33000ක් විතර
ඒක ස්කයිරිම් මේ ඇනිවර්සරි එකේ 34000ක් ඉන්නේ නෝමල් එකේ 32000ක් ඉන්නවා
යකෝ 60000ක් ඉන්නවද කියන්නේ ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා ස්කයිරිම් එකේ
නෑ නෝමල් එකේ 2000ක් ඉන්නේ ඒත් 2000ක් ඉන්නවා කොහොම ඇනිවර්සරි
ඇනිවර්සරි එකේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේ මොඩ් සපෝට් කරන්නේ
බලමු VR එකේ 382ක් ඉන්නවා
යකෝ ඔක්කොම 35ක් විතර ඉන්නවනේ ඒ කියන්නේ ප්ලේස්ලා 35ක් සැක්
විතර ඉන්න ඕනේ 24 hours
We notice like players really role play their
Oh,
characters
no.
in the game.
Oh,
So we
no.
always want to give
no,
them
sub,
the option
oh,
to
no.
dive into, like,
Adele, good night, good night, good night.
the character, you know, to kind of have this fantasy
යනවාද
in this
Oh,
world.
that's
That's the journey through the story.
සුබ රාත්‍රිය
We
මහත්
just
සුබ
wanted to
උදෑසන
give them
සුබ
as
රාත්‍රියක්
many
සුබ
possible
උදෑසනක්
options as
සුබ
they
දවසක්
can to
Nah,
really
yes.
ඒ වගේම
make the
සුබ
character
සන්ධ්‍යාවක්
they want to make.
Thank you බලන්
Just
හිටියට
make it
Yeah.
just their own.
thank
Stuff
you
like,
බලන් හිටියට
all the playable races.
Mm,
We
ගුන්
discussed
කතා
it
ටික
early
අහන්
on
හිටියට
about
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
something
yep.
both previous Pillars games had. It's a lot of work and a difficult thing. to
අර
really
බලහංක
nail
ඒ
down,
ගේම්
especially
එක ඒ වුණාට
about
බලද්දී
parkour
තියන්නේ ගේම් එකේ
systems
පොද
and,
ගේම් ප්ලේ එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා බලංග
mechanics
Oh,
and all the
ඒක
weapon
තමයි.
types and stuff
අර
like that.
බලංග
සිරාගේ පාට්ටි quality වගේ තමයි
Different races,
අර
Gameplay එක.
බලද්දී තේරෙන එක
sizes,
හොඳයි කියලා
different
ගේම්
shapes.
එක
They're a
දැන් බලන්න
very
වර්ල්ඩ් එකක්
unique
තියෙන
game
එන
experience.
අර වර්ල්ඩ් එකත්
Play
එන
it
සිරාට
ඒක
වර්ල්ඩ් එක
අතිරේක
ඉන්ටරෙස්ටිං
person
උන් ඒක
දැන්
හරියට
සිරාට වගේ ඉස්සර
හරියට
දැකපු
සයිබර්
කාලේ
පංක්ලා මේ නෝමෑන් ස්කයි වගේ උන් වගේ බැහැලා ඕක සුද්ධ කරලා තියෙන ජරා වයින් කරලා හරියට හැදුවොත් එහෙම තැනකට ගේන්න පුළුවන් ගේම් එක
නෑ සිරාට ගේම් ප්ලේ එකක් බලන්න සිරාට සයිඩ් එකේ කොපියක් වගේ තමයි වෙලාවකට බෙටර් කියලා හිතන වෙලාවට
ඔව්
Skyrim එක ඇස්නේ කම්බැට් එක
First person, it changes it again how you feel present in this game. So it's
ඒක ඒ කාලේ හැටියට පට්ට ඇඩ්වාන්ස් ඒ වුණාට ඉතින් දැන්
ඔය කාලේ
ගහද්දී
පට්ට
ඇස්
දැන් ඇස් මේකේ කම්බැට් එක සිරාට ගත්තා මේ බලනකො මේ UI එක බලනකො ඇත්ත
අර බලහන් මොබයිල් ගේම් ඕක යකෝ ටෙක්ස්ට් එක තව චූටි කරලා ටෙක්ස්ට් එක වැඩි දෙයක් කරන්න ඕනේ නෑ ටෙක්ස්ට් එක චූටි කරලා ඔය ඉමේජ් එහෙම ටිකක් ලොකු කරලා ගත්තා නම් හරි ගොඩ
නෑ නෑ ස්ක්‍රෝල් කරන්නත් තියෙනවා
ඉස්සරහට
මොබයිල් ගේම්
මෙන්න
එක
මේක ස්ක්‍රෝල් කරන්න ඌ යකෝ කවුද ස්ක්‍රෝල් කරන්න බෑ ඉන්ෆෝමේෂන් බෑ ගේම් ප්ලේ එක ආතල් බස් විලා
අර බලහන් සමනින් දාගෙන අර අර බලහන් කොච්චර ෆීචර්ස් තියෙනවද කියලා ගේම් එකේ
photos of their
UI එක බලන්න
but it's very
අර බලහන් මෙනු එක වද්දේ
to get the camera just right to get a
අර
certain
බලහන්
distance
කැරක්ටර්
from
ක්‍රියේෂන් එක කැත
or capture
බල
the
හදාගෙන
shot
ඉන්නේ
අයිබන් කොහොමද කියලා
your character so this
ඒ ටික නම් ඕනෝට එපාවට හදලා
get
දෙන
into
කවුද
it
දන්නේ හදපු
and capture some awesome shots or some scary shots depending which way
Scary
you're
shot?
going.
We're super excited to announce that Avowed's finally going to come out to PS5.
Pre-orders are going to be live today. Keep an eye out on our socials and
Yes,
we'll announce
right.
when the store page is open.
තව ප්ලේස් 200ක් විතර ඇඩ් වෙයි වුණා වැඩි වුණා
නෝ very good at
ඔන්න ගේම් එක ඊළඟ
ඕ
ඔන්න හිතන්න ඕනි ගේම් එක
තියෙන ඔය තියෙන ඩෙස්ක්ටොප් ඩවුන්ලෝඩ්
ඕක තමයි ග්‍රවුන්ඩ්
ග්‍රවුන්ඩ්
2 එකේ නම් performance issues තිබ්බ ආපු දවසට දැන් කොහොමද
ඊට පස්සේ චුට්ටක් හදුවා අවුලක් නැහැ දැන්ම ගේම් එක ගහලා නැහැ තාම මේ ෆුල් ගේම් එක රිලීස් නැහැ
in a gigantic city park. You play as a teenager who has been shrunken to roughly the size of an ant, and you just have to
ඒක නම්
survive
කී අතලයක්
in
ගන්න
this
පුළුවන්
environment.
ග්‍රවුන්ඩඩ් එක එහෙනම් පළවෙනි එක ගහම මම දැන් කියන්නේ පළවෙනි එක ගහම
පළවෙනි එක
කියලා
ගහමු.
මං ගහලා නැහැ පළවෙනි එක සිරාවට මං ගහලා නැහැ
දෙන්නම ගහලා නැහැ
මං ගහලා නැහැ
කමන්නේ මත් ගහලා නැහැ
ගහමු.
හැබැයි ඉතින් ගහන්න ඕනේ දිගට අවුලක් නැහැ
සතියෙම හරි දිගට පැය 3ක් දවසට ගහගත්තත් අවුලක් නැහැනේ දවස ගහන්න
වැඩි වෙලා නැහැ
මට එහෙම ගහන්න පුළුවන් හවස
අවුලක් නැහැ තවස් ගහමු
It's really about adding in this next
මෙන්න ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් වෙන්න දාන්න
that comes with a lot of things that are very, very
කීයද ඔක ජීවි
with this winter update.
එච්චර නැහැ මට මතකද
ටිකක්වත් තියෙනවා
නෑ එච්චර තිබ්බේ ඌ එකවත් එච්චර තිබ්බේ ඌ එක මං ගත්තේ 36
මේ මේකේ නම් පාක් එක්ක තියෙන්නේ අරගෙන නම් තියෙන ගේ පිටිපස්ස සහ වත්තේ
අර ගේ පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන
අරගේ මාළුවෙක් එහෙම ඉන්නවා විලේ තඩි ගෝල් ෆිෂ් කෙනෙක්
මොයි විලේ තිබ්බා එන කේස් ජීවි 10
and different types of artwork and places for the player to explore. And then, of course, then we need all the insects that go in these areas too. And so, a ton of new insects that are in there. As I love to say, all of these insects, you can fight. Maybe they're docile and you can attack them.
Insects,
they're aggressive and will attack you. And regardless, you fight them, learn their tactics, and then eventually turn them into fashionable attire and new weapons.
Monster Hunter එකේ විදිහම තමයි කෙලින්ම hunt කරා හදාගත්තා.
මේකේ මේකේ පැරි සිස්ටම් එකක් කියමු තියෙනවා. ඌ එකේ attack එකෙන් මරු. මේ combat එකෙන් මේ advance ඌ එකේ. වන්නේට වඩා
really organic structures as well.
කියන්නේ මේකේ ගොඩක් තඩි වෙනත් තඩි boss fight තියෙනවා මේකේ. තඩි මකුළු වෙනවා.
Wasps are coming
ඉන්න
back,
වටාද.
which
මේ
are
කියන්නේ
a
මකුළු
lot
එක්ක
of
අපි
fun
රයිඩ්
to
කරන්න
fight,
පුළුවන්.
but can be kind of annoying.
ඌවෙක් ඉන්නවා අපිට.
Again, this is a survival game,
වාහනේ වගේ.
so excited about those things coming back. Black ants are also coming back too. And like
ඊගා download කරනවා නේ?
ඔව් මම download කරන්න දාන්න.
armor and different weapons.
දැන් දාන්න බෑ.
that
මේක
you
ඉරනස්
can-
මන්
that
දාන්න.
you can craft after you've defeated these creatures. We're more excited about the new creatures that are coming in.
මම නම් කියන්නේ ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවට ගිහලා ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම කුරුමිනියෝ ටික දැම්මම හරි සතුටුයි.
True. True.
ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ මම දැක්කා එක කුරුමිනියෙක් ඉන්න මොකද්ද?
අඩු ඇයිද දන්නේ ඒ පැතිව වෙච්චරනේ.
ඒකේ ඒ කොහොම හරි ඒ කුරුමිනියා පැටවු දාන්නේ මකුළුන්ගේ බඩේ. මකුළුවා පණ පිටින් ඉන්න ඌ ඉපදිනකම්. සිහි නැතිලා. ඊට පස්සේ බඩ කඩාගෙන එනවා නිකන් අර ඒලියන් එකේ වගේ. ඊට පස්සේ මේ මකුළුවා මැරෙන්නේ නැති විදිහට ඌ එක කනවා ඇතුලේ කැලි ටික.
ඌ බලපන්.
පතයිද?
ඒ වගේනේ.
නෑ ඔවුන් තමයි අර කන්නේ හත්පොළ කන්නු කියන්නේ. උන්
අපි පත්තය කියන්නේ දුන්නේ.
නෑ පත්තයෝ කියන්නේ බං අර කකුල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා.
නෑ පත්තය නෙමෙයි. හරි ඌ කළුවේ කන්නේ වා කියන්නේ.
ඔව් කළුවේ හත්පොළ කන්නු කියන්නේ. ඔහොම නැට්ට උස්සන් එන්නේ.
වතුර කියලාද කොහෙද කියන්නේ?
කපන්න.
ඔව් හරි.
Grounded one players to be excited to see these creatures again, but also to be
මැන්ටිස් ලාද මැන්ටිස්
ගෝනු සවර්ෂන් එක
just like we did in the picnic area.
ගෝනු
revamp the combat.
පොඩි එකෙක් බා.
තනකොළ පෙත්ත නෑනේ.
Legacy creatures are going, okay, how do we
තනකොළත් එක්ක ඉන්න.
a
වැඩිස් එක.
part of the system? How do we
ඌ
make
කලින්
it
හිටියා
challenge
ගේම්
this
එකේ.
new dance? How
කලින්
do we
අපිට
leverage
තියෙන.
our systems to make them more interesting?
ආයෙ
And
ඉන්නෝනේ
so
තනකොළ පෙත්ත තමයි
hopefully
සුපිරි
there's a
අයඩ
couple
අය.
of twists coming,
බත්
even
කූරෝ ආයෙ සුපිරි
නෑ,
අය.
favorites.
මැන්ටිස් ඉන්න. පත
Veteran
මැන්ටිස්
players
එකක්
on
ඉන්න.
their toes and will surprise and delight new players.
ආයෙ මේ කවුද? අර පස්ස
අර
පැත්තේ
කූඹු පැන්ට
මිඩියන්
එක වගේ තනකොළ පෙත්ත හිටියා.
පස්ස පැත්තේ මිඩි තියෙන උන් දාන්න.
ඔව් ඒ වගේ ඉන්න.
අර ඇසිඩ් එක ගහන ගානේ.
ඔව් ඇසිඩ් එක ගහන්නේ.
We're pretty excited about all that stuff. Like
ඒ වගේ එකක් ඉන්න වන්න එකේ. ඉසින් ගහන්නේ.
I think every
What do you-
single grounded player from Grounded 1 at some point jumped on the ladybug
Aduh, me
and
ladybug
let
apa
it
di
transport them around. And we
Aduh,
often
mabuk.
joke that that was the
Ladybug
original
utin.
buggy prototype. And there's something so iconic about the ladybug and getting on it and wanting to ride it that it felt like an inevitability.
උඩ මැෂින් ගන්න එක වගේ.
පාරද ඔක්කො ගාගෙන යන්නේ කොල්ලා. දැන්
අර වතුර වලින් ගහන්නේ.
Just a horse, you know?
ඌ වතුර
And
පිල්
so
කරගන්න.
it really boiled down to what can the ladybuggy bring to the table that the other ones weren't? What can make her stand apart and bring a utility and an experience to the player that the other buggies aren't? How can we carve out her own little niche in the game? She's the tank. She's, you know, the one who can get into those really tough fights and withstand those large swarms of insects. And that's where the idea of the water cannon
ඔය ඉන්න
comes
ඇසිඩ් ගහනවා
back.
කියන කරම.
And you know, players being able to shoot at their
කැරපොත්තෝ නැන්ද කැරපොත්තෝ.
and that ended up
කැරපොත් එක්ක ඉන්න. කැරපොත් මේක ඉන්නවා වන්න කියන මම මතක
a
නැහැ.
really unique experience. Being able to shoot down the aerial
මේක ඉන්න මාර ගැටිය.
insects that are often a bit more challenging and a bit more frustrating for players. Well, now you have this
මීමැස්සෝ.
ranged weapon that you can take them down with. That
ආයෙ
මීමැස්සෝ
සුපිරි ඉන්සෙක්ට් එකක් කවුද ආයෙ ඉන්නේ?
for us, as soon
Wolf
as we
spiders.
crack that, it felt like okay,
ඕ
there she
නම්
is.
කොහොමද
That's her
දෙන්න.
niche. And now it's just about bringing that experience to life and finding
මේකෙත්
people
එතකොට හන්ට් කරලා ෆාම් කරලා ආමානමන හදා
ආම හදාගන්න.
to really highlight
මේක
that and let
අච්චර
it
ඉතින්
shine.
ගොඩක් ඕනේ නැහැ බා. ටක් ගාලා හදාගන්න පුළුවන්.
So we saw Avowed.
මැරෙන්න ඕනේ අර වැල්ලේ
We see now that we have New Game Plus coming. There's a photo mode.
ඔව් ඉතින් අර
මේක-
පොඩි සතෙක් ඉන්නේ ඉතින් අපි
There's
පොටම
character presets. You got new races, which I'm sure, yeah, Lua will have a lot
ආයෙ
of fun with.
කවුද ඉන්නේ
It's-
OP
they're doing a
කුරුමිනියෝ.
lot, and
OP
I mean the game,
Kuruminio.
of course,
OP
launched earlier
Kuruminio.
this year. Obsidian's been
Dung Beetles la
busy this
very
year.
busy, yeah. And they're doing these free updates now.
Maduru?
And so
Maduru
there's
is-
new Game
Maduru,
Plus,
yes.
which adds a whole new
Yep,
reason
yep,
for you to
hammer
go
game
back
makes
through the
well,
game. So
Yes.
the game is coming to
Mosquito
PS5.
la.
We got another
වෙල්ලයි මේටින් එක
platinum trophy
මදුරු
was
ඇස්
insane. Here we go.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, but it's coming and it's available for pre-order as of this
Right
show
now?
going live. So right now, so check it out. And when I talked to them, they were saying how important the community is to them, how they've listened to a lot of their feedback. Like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
not
yeah,
Grounded.
yeah.
Grounded.
I was gonna say, Luke, if I'm scared of
අනේ
spiders,
grounded
what do I
එක ගැන
do?
කතා කරන්නේ අරුන් අරගෙන කතා කරන්නේ
But they like that's kind of their driving force is looking at the community, what the community is saying, communicating. They're like, hey, we'd like more species and more customization options.
උන් ඒ ගැන විනාඩියක් විනාඩියක් කතා කරේ නේද
It's just really nice to see them do that. They could put it in a paid package, but they're not. They're just, it's a labor of love, and that's.
I really like how, as you're going to New Game Plus, you can also change your character's appearance. So you keep some of your skills and stuff, but if you are tired of how your character looks or you want to do something new, try a different race. You can do that by just going to New Game Plus. You don't need to go back to the beginning.
Besides that, we also had Grounded 2.
ඒක
The Garden of Brook Hollow Park that is now going to be open. So it's a new biome. They have new creatures, new tools,
Alu
a new
biome
mushroom
එකක්
brick
කරනවා.
material
ඒක
that you can
කරන්නේ
build
නේද?
more stuff with,
Okay.
and also a new ladybug buggy.
A lady buggy.
For those of you watching, that's
Ladybuggy.
it's a play on word.
Allow me to explain.
Ladybug E because you can mount it and ride it like a buggy.
Yeah, and speaking to listening community, they also take a lot of feedback. This is a game that launched back into early access back in July, and so this is a major winter update is what they're calling it, and it was heavily requested to have more types of transport, which they are still planning more for the future.
Ladybug තමයි දැක්කම පොඩි ගල
They
දාන්නේ
always
මට
listen to
විතර
feedback about,
නෑ Ladybugs ලා අවුල නෑ
insect
ඒ
people they
game
call,
එකේ
you
යාතේ
know, is it docile or
That's
docile?
that night thing.
From Iowa.
Whatever you
Yeah,
prefer.
Yeah.
මට නම්
Different insects
කුරුමිනියොත්
can be
එක්ක
friendly, some
කේස්
can be
යන්නේ
enemies, and then of course they can also treat them now as transport as well.
You looked
මට එන්න තරහයි.
Well, I'm not looking at you. And so with this update, they're
උඹ
doing this
එතකොට
for a
රැස්ලිං
lot of the timeline,
ෆයිට්
like, they're
එකක් තියලා
gonna give
බිම
you a lot
දැම්ම
of these
කවුද
big updates, and you're going to be kind of
What?
surprised of like
Game
when
big,
it
ne?
first released for early access.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was still plenty to do. It
Frogs
was
are
a
රැස්ලිං
survival
ෆයිට්
game.
එකක් දාලා ඔබ
If
බිම
you were a
දැම්ම
fan of Grounded,
Fake
the
frogs
original,
are
you knew
menace.
they were still going to have a great winter update
Frogs.
for you like this, and so they have a
Nah,
lot
nah,
on
brother.
their roadmap,
Nah,
but
nah.
because of the way the game is oddly like
Hummingbird
scaled
කෙනෙක්
down,
එහෙම දැම්මම
ඊට
සුපිරි
පස්සේ
නෑ
Honey, I Shrunk the
ගේම්
Kids,
බබුගේ
like,
මූණ
the
හිටේද
way it's shrunk down, they have so much they still want to
Hummingbird ලා
doing for a long
ගෙම්බෝ
කලින්ගේ වන්න එක කපුටෙක් කියන හැබැයි ඌසෙක් නෙමෙයි නිකන්
You're like, wait, what's he doing? What's he doing?
I gotta give them credit. Like Obsidian's been so
මොකක් හරි නිකන් එක්ස්පෙරිමන්ට් එකකින් කොපි පොඩි වෙටනවා වගේ සීන්
ඔව් ඒ
එකක්
ඩොක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා
ඒ කියන්නේ වන්න එක එහෙම වෙන්නේ වන්න කියන දේ තමයි මේකේ
Yeah, they just had
මේක
2K
තඩි
come
මේ
back
2
out of
එකේදී
retirement.
වෙනවා
He's one of the
තියෙනවා තඩි
creators of Fallout back then.
ඔපරේෂන් නැට් වගේ
And he
Didn't he also was some of the original creators of Vampire Bloodlines?
I think you did.
I
work
think
on
so.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's kind of a legend of the industry. He in 2020 went and started doing consulting work with Obsidian, but he was, in his words, semi-retired. But he's actually gone back to Obsidian to work full time in office. Moved to the studio on some project that's unannounced. and he said,
Obsidian
"Oh,
the
I'm
Grounded
guessing you
2
will not
හදන්නේ
guess it." So new IP, something crazy. Who knows?
Have a?
They are
Or he's
busy.
trying to throw us off.
ඔබ්සිඩියන් හදන්නේ grounded නෑනේ
See like whole
Nah.
release for Fallout.
නෑනේ ඔබ්සිඩියන් එවෝල්ව්ඩ් එක හදන්නේ ඔබ්සිඩියන්
The show being excellent and
Evolved
everyone
එක-
itching
Oh.
for more Fallout. So
වෝඩ් එක ඔබ්සිඩියන් නේ
ඔව්
අර අවුට්
අවුට්වර්ඩ් 2 එක තියෙනවා වද්දා
Next up, we have 3 fantasy
වර්ඩ් එක නේ අරවා
ආව මං ගහමු කිය කියාව දෙන්නෙත් එක හන්ලා
as
කියන්නේ
I would say. This is going to be Outward 2 from Night Dot Studio, a follow-up to their other survival game, Outward.
ඒක නම්
obviously.
පට්ට
We have
hard
Iron's
ඈ.
Call by
මට
Titan
එපා වුණ
Rock.
ගේම්
We
එක.
also have Dragon Twin by Draconic Interactive.
see මේක තියෙන මේකනේ
ඔව් අවුට්වර්ඩ් එක
ඇල්ෆා everything මේචේ ඇල්ෆා ගේම්
උන්ගේ එක්ස් එකේ දාන එක්ස් account එකේ දාන සෑහෙන වීඩියෝ කටිය
special superhero or the last child from a prophecy. You're just a dude.
Oh,
or a
halai
team.
na.
And the reason why we are downscaling who the player is because they want to be immersed more than they want to be powerful. And that was a big change in our approach. And we made all of our design decisions to be in alignment with this. If you were just a regular person and you wanted to think like a human would,
අඩෝ එකේ map එක ලස්සනයි බං
when
පළවෙනිට
you
වඩා
are aloof, when you're just like
මම යනවා එනම් බං කන්න
I've done it before, and that's when
බොරුවක්
life
කියලා
just
නෑනේ
snaps back at you, right? In real life, that's like that. It
No.
should be like that in the
නෑ
design.
අපි කිව්වා බොරුවක් කියලා එන්නම්
One
කියලා
gigantic thing is the character creation. In Outward One, like
Mm.
we
What the hell is this? Oh my god.
three protagonists. And we didn't have a lot of,
නේද
like 3 skin colors, a handful of faces,
මොකක්ද
a handful of haircuts.
දෙක
උම්ම කිව්වා ඒක කැතයි කියලා නේ ඒක නම් අවුල්ල
You choose a background, you choose traits, you have a very granular
වන්න එකත් එහෙමත් තිබ්බේ.
වන්න එකත් එහෙම තමයි කැතයි
character
character
to
එක.
your liking. One of the big thing is you choose one of 3 starting locations. So as a regular person, what justifies throwing yourself into danger? How do you become an adventurer? Well, we have 3 different quests depending on which city you choose. So if you are in Simeon's Bastion, you are
අඩෝ
a
ඒ ගේම්
homeless
එක ගති වගේ බං ඒ graphic style එකට මම පට්ට
in
කැමතියි
වන්න එකේ නෝ අවුලක් නැහැ
you
මේ
are a
ලස්සන
minor and you're
වන්න
trying
එකත්
to
ලස්සනයි ගේම් එක ලස්සන
improve your status and your quality of life.
නෑ මේ characters උත් අවුලක්
You
නැහැ
are just a clerk
ඒත්
who just
කැතයි
found
බං
out
මේල්
what
characters වල
could
මුණෙන්
possibly
බලහන්
go wrong. You know,
Male
and very
නෑ.
mundane situations, like you're not special or anything, but something special happens to you, and then you have to live up to the situation. The
Magic
one
shit ද තියෙන්නේ?
weather system
ඔයාට play කරන්න පුළුවන් ඕනේ
is
shit
very
එක
dynamic. So now we have a
එහෙනම්
year-long
හොඳයි.
calendar with seasons.
Okay,
and
okay,
it goes
schools
through
තියෙනවා
that.
ඒ schools වලින් ඉගෙන ගන්න
heavy
ඕනේ.
නම්
And
magic
spring
shit
and then
හදේ
summer
තමයි.
it does change like what kind of stuff can be found, what kind of armor you need to wear.
You mean the
It is
developers one?
gigantic. So
Yep, yep.
now you can combine anything that goes in one hand, and that opens up a lot of possibilities. In Outward One, like you had your offhand could only have a set amount of things, and you had your main hand. Now you can just interchange. You can have 2 shields if you want. It sucks. I don't recommend, but you can. Of course, like just visually and the fact that there's much more.
යකෝ anything තියාගන්න පුළුවන් weapon එකක් shield එකක් වුණත් තියාගන්න පුළුවන් යකෝ අත් දෙකේ
Something that people will notice very quickly. Just like in Outward One, we have 8 skill trees, and all those skill trees have some exclusive skills. So if you take one, you can't take the other.
ඔය තියෙන
and
schools
you
මං
have a
හිතන්නේ ඔය වගේ
maximum of
schools
3 breakthrough points. So there's only
Skill trees,
3
skill
skill
trees.
trees that you can
Okay.
learn from to the maximum of the capabilities. Otherwise, you have like the first few layers of skills available. One thing we added are the attribute points, the core stats. So strength, agility, constitution, willpower, intelligence. We added those. We're gonna track a lot of different things that you do. They're all gonna have like different thresholds. So let's say you dodge attacks successfully a certain number of times, you unlock a node that will give you a passive trait.
අඩෝ ආන් අපි කිව්ව සිද්ධිය තියෙන ඒ ගේම් එකේ බා achievement වලින් ඒක rate sum වෙන scene එකේ
and it expands us
ඒක
in
මොකද?
more and more circles. So you
මහන්
won't be able
ඉඳලා
from the very start to unlock all
උන්හන්
these
ඉදලා කොපි කරලා
just because
copyright දාපන්
ගල්ලා තම copyright එක දෙස්තු අහන්න
ආ copyright නඩු දාහන් අපේ idea කොපි කරා
the
කියලා
life of danger
අපි
and
pattern
aura
කරලා තිබ්බේ
to be able to understand like get to the next level of the skill trees. Other than that, well, I think it's important to note
Okay,
that
idea
all
copy
4
කරලා
regions are new
Oh.
regions, so it's really just completely new environment to explore.
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into our upcoming action RPG.
ඔන්න fantasy I want brother this is the games I want
අඩෝ soul frame එක නෑනේ ටික
අඩෝ තාම
තේරෙනවද?
release නෑ නේද
These incredibly hostile areas.
අඩෝ ඒ game එක ලස්සනයි
Which, as you may have noticed,
ඒක
is the
ලස්සනයි.
name of the universe we're meticulously crafting.
මම දන්නා gameplay එක ගැන
මේ වැල්හෙම් vibe එකක් එනවනේ
වැල්හීම් polished vibe එකක් එන්නේ polished වැල්හීම් vibe එකක් එන්නේ අර ඔලහන් characters එහෙම හෙන simple බා අර ඒ තරම් අර
අර ඒ දෙන්න වැල්හෙම් වගේ වගේ අර කැමරා ඇන්ගල් එක
යා අවුනේ
මොනවද අර
අඩෝ attack උත් ඒ වගේ අර
fight එනොත් අවුලක් නෑ අර
Varan needs a hero, and every hero needs a way
Oh,
to slay the
awulak
countless fantastical beasts they'll encounter. Varan's Call aims to cater to a wide range of
අවුලක් නෑ
playstyles,
අවුලක්
offering you the freedom to
magic
combat
නා
the known in a
සුපිරිය
variety of
ඉරාට
ways.
Magic lang set na
Prefer to be a nimble-footed archer, flinging fireballs between arrows,
Ooh.
or face your foes toe-to-toe as an...
ගිහිල්ල ළඟට ගිහිල්ල මරන් කන්න ඕනේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ වැල්ලීම තමයි බා කොම්බැට් සිස්ටම් එක බලහන්කෝ ඒ ෆීල් එක තියෙන වැල්ලීම.
අඩෝ ඒක නේද?
ඒ උනාට ගේම් එක නම් පට්ට ලස්සනයි. ආසයි.
Switch playstyles midway through your adventure. Unlock and
අම්මට විතර ඩුවල් ස්ලෝඩ් එක
පොඩ්ඩක් වැඩි වගේ.
and level up your mercenaries' core stats by
Optimize my
gaining
ass එක වගේ වන්නන්න.
ඔව්.
hidden chests throughout the
wait,
world
then-
will reward you with a range of weapons, armor, and unique trinkets. Some providing unique effects to help you gain an edge in your next combat encounter.
අඩෝ අපේ අයිඩියා ඔක්කොම කොපි කරලා වගේ බම්මු.
Acts as a hub.
ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ.
Provides various
අඩෝ මැප් එක සුපිරියයි.
further development
අඩෝ මැප් එක මරුවේ.
එහෙනම් simple map එක.
Simple map එක තමයි
that
මැප් එක
you
මරුවේ.
find throughout the world. And the dismantling bench to deconstruct items for
මං
materials.
වගේ උන්ට පට්ට.
The spell crafting
ඔබ ඕගෙත් ඔබ මේ වෙන උට බයින්ඩ් එක.
Everything from an area of effect freeze attack that stops the enemy in their tracks to ripping up the ground from underneath their feet with destructive force.
අඩෝ.
අඩෝ ඒක නම් බලුවේ.
Upgrade and unlock new traps and
මේකට
gadgets. A nice
අඩෝ
complement to your
එහෙනම්
arsenal,
දතිනේ
allowing you the
ගේම් එක.
opportunity to catch your enemies off guard.
අඩෝ.
And finally, the alchemy cauldron.
අඩෝ UI එක බලහන්කෝ UI එකත් එන සිම්පල් බා. මොකුත් ඒ තරම් ලොකු කරදරයක් නෑ සිම්පල්.
Securing yourself with nasty status effects.
අඩෝ.
These concoctions are sure to aid you on your journey.
ඊ.
අඩෝ.
ඊ අපිට ඕන විදිහට හදාගන්න.
Equip that shiny new helmet, purchase that slightly
ඒක නම්
magic
උදාහරණයක්.
spell you always had your eyes on, and
අයියෝ
upgraded
අයියෝ.
that new polybuster barrel to the volatile variant that has even more boom. You're ready to get back into the fight, but maybe you want a change of pace. Yes, you're supposed to be the hero and save the city, but heroes need breaks too. Besides, there's a whole world to explore.
අඩෝ ගොඩක් මොබ්ස්ලා ඉන්නේ බලහන්කෝ කීයක් දැන් පෙන්වනවද කියලා.
Need your help with
එනවිස්ලා
their problems.
ඒක තමයි.
enemy types ලා සෑහෙන්න තියෙනවා ඒක.
You might find yourself involved in a
එන සිම්පල් ගේම් එක ඒකයි යති ඒක.
මොකද්ද දන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ. මේකේ කෝ එක මොකද්ද?
RPG ගේම් එක මම කලින් දැක්ක ඔගේ ස්ටෝරියක් තියෙන්නේ. අපිට ඒ කියන්නේ විචර් වගේ අර නිකන් අපිට ඕනි ස්ටෝරියක් ඇදගෙන යන්න ඕන සයිඩ් ක්වෙස්ට් වගේ තියෙන. main quest.
Survival RPG.
ඔව් survival RPG.
අඩෝ.
Maybe we should stick to
Shake.
the main task at hand after all.
ලෝල්.
Orange Call is soon to release on PC with full controller
Ooh.
support, with the aim of releasing on consoles at a later date. Our game is inspired
අර
by
බලහන්
the
ගේම් එක
success of
ලස්සනයි
Fable
බං
and
අර
the Elder Scrolls.
බොස්ලා එහෙම.
This sounds
අඩෝ
like your
ගෝහෙන්
kind of
ගියත්
adventure.
strike meme එක
Consider
තියෙනවා
heading
නම්
over to Steam and adding it to your wish list to stay up to date with us. Until then, we'll see you mercenaries soon.
ගේම් ප්ලේ එක නම් එන ආතිල් වගේ.
Variant call. Variant call. Forsaken Realm.
Okay.
මේක පිස්සු ගියා.
That's a good game. That's a good game. I like that. Outward පට ඒකත් පට. Dragon Twine.
ඕ ඩ්‍රැගන් ට්‍රී.
Dragon Twine.
බලමු. මොකක්ද ගෙන්න ගන්නේ?
Yep.
S.
මැප් එක ලස්සනයි වුණාට.
අපේ ලස්සනයි මට.
S.
S බං.
Game of Thrones පෑන්ලා හදලා තියෙන්නේ බා. බලහන්කෝ මකරත් ඒ වගේ.
benchmark shit එකක් වගේද?
අර
ඒ what තිබ්බට වැඩක් නැහැ. Still look like ass. ගෝතන්ඩ shit එකක් shit නෑ.
මේ එදා මම යනවා දොයියන්න good night දැන්.
Good night ඔ. ඒක ඒක බල්ලවලුකුත් නෑ මම පම්පයක් දාන්න විනාඩි දිව.
ගේම් එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරනවනේ.
ඔව් ගන්නවා.
නෑ.
first question I had was, how hard is this game going to be? Because the most common question about the original Outward was, okay, this is like, does it have to be so hard?
I actually got to play the game in the alpha version, and I got my ass kicked.
I'm glad.
Deserved.
But it's actually amazing. Like, I actually really enjoyed it because exploring this game felt very rewarding. And there's like a camping system, so you can camp like right outside like the enemy zone, and then you prepare like your weapons and everything to wreck the enemy. Because if you don't prepare, you're in trouble.
It's known to be a very, very hardcore survival. And when I was talking to Guillaume, he was like, if you die, it is likely your fault. And we all heard him say, like, it's not hard, but it is demanding. And they always at all times want to live up to those words, which is really awesome. And they will have a pack mule, which he said, of course, shocker, can die if you don't take care of it.
Of course.
But it's, one of the big struggles was with inventory and spacing along other struggles that players had to really try and, play out this game. Like you were saying earlier, you can't dilly-dally in this game. You have to really know what you're going to do, and eventually you'll get a hang of things. But another big one was dual wielding. So you can dual wield, he says, anything in the game. You can even double shield it up, which he says is not recommended.
You can attack with the shield. It's super cool.
He really loves to stress all of these niche things. Like you can sprain your ankle, you can perforate a lung.
Trauma.
She has clearly sprained it. You can sprain her. You can have a concussion. It will all impact you, and all of these ailments like take different lengths of time to recover from.
I got a concussion in game as well. It was really tough.
As well.
What were you doing out of game?
It was it was just kind of like a play on, because whenever I told
Tara
people
ටිකක් හයියෙන් කකුල ඉස්සරහට
concussion,
තවත්
brain damaging in game, a lot of people in my chat would say like in game.
Sounds like the most hardcore of hardcore survivals.
It was
ඔව්
really
ඈ
fun
සිරාවට
because
අවුට්
you
වලේ
can also
පට්ට
play with
hardcore ඈ.
friends, and then things become a lot more bearable.
They've showed the split screen.
Yeah,
and
so
it
you
looks
can play
awesome.
split screen with your friends.
Mane
and,
split screen
it's really
ගන්න
nice.
පුළුවන්.
ඔව් ඒ split screen
Especially
තියෙනවා.
because then
පළවෙනි එකත්
like you get beaten up, and then your friends get beaten up, so and then
You
know.
can get digital concussions together.
Next up, we have Forsaken Realms, Baron's Call. We were all sitting here saying it looks
It looks sick.
ඒක නම් පට්ට සිරාට Forsaken Realm කියන එක නම් මාරු ඈ.
I can play that one.
I was trying to figure out what the vibe was, and at the very end of the trailer, they say inspired by games like Fable. They really struck an interesting vibe.
Dragon
It seems
මොකක්ද
it's got a lot of
ඒක
soul
නිකන්
and
Patreon එකේ තුන්
Talked about music a lot today. I just want to say that was something I noticed right there. That flute, there's something about a flute. When a flute starts playing,
When the
in a
flute
fantasy
started,
game,
yeah,
dude.
When the flute started playing, he was like, "Oh my god,
I'm ready to go to war."
No, the game looks really nice. It looks very well detailed, and I can't wait to try it.
They angled it that like, hey, you can do this thing. You can really focus on combat and the main quest line, the main story, but this is also an expansive world where there are a bunch of little side
මම හෙන
stories.
කැමති ඒ
You
world
go
එක පට්ට
to
ලොකුයි
these
නම් ඈ.
individual side
ඒ
characters,
world
like,
එක
help
පට්ට
them
ලස්සනයි.
fix their chicken.
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
murder mystery or whatever it is, and I feel like that's what
Forsaken
builds out a
Realm
world
එක
and makes it
දැක්ක
feel
තරම්
more
දැක්ක
full.
තැන් ටික නම්
So I
පට්ටම
think
ලස්සනයි.
it's great. Third,
ඔව්
we
වෙන
have
world එකක් තියෙනවා
Dragon
and
Twin.
different
I don't
species
I don't even know if we're
let's ride."
Dude, you can make your own dragon. There's a character for your dragon.
Did you see the neck customizer? I mean, like Jake was like.
To be fair, is very early in production. They're working on all these systems for Dragonfly.
ඒක Dragon
As
customization
they
නැති.
mentioned in the trailer,
සිරාට.
it's still a work in progress. They're finding the game and what it's going to be based on funding, Patreon support, things like that. But I mean, just
Kickstarter
like,
එකක් වගේ
imagining
නේ
the
නිකන්
vision of a kingdom
crowdfunded
builder,
නේ.
where, like you're in command of
Nope.
dragons.
Patreon
like,
එකේ ඒක
Khaleesi,
Patreon එකේ demo එකක්
like,
තිබ්බ
inject
Patreon
that into my
එකේ.
veins. It's another one of those games I didn't know I needed or wanted, but
Never even came across your mind. You're like, wait a second.
well, you see, and you're like, of course.
I can't wait to see how it progresses, because it already looks amazing.
But they left the combat pretty
Yeah,
open.
I'm bored
We
again.
saw some.
එහෙ කිනම් අර ගේම් එකට දෙන්න ඕනේ කියන්න දෙයක් ඕනේ හින්දා කියන්නේ.
අරුණ නම්
උදේට නම් කියනවනේ බල්ලෝ.
The cinematic shots you're gonna get with that dragon is gonna be crazy.
The Cube ඔය තියෙන්නේ Atomic Heart එකයි Cube එක.
Atomic Heart එකේ DLC එකක්
Fish,
තියෙනවා.
a comparison of the
Immortal
twins from
Gates of
Atomic Heart
Rise
now in the Cube, a
Rise.
very exciting game I think we're all looking forward to. And for Atomic Heart, some new screenshots from their DLC number 4. On top of that, there is also Immortal Gates of Pyre that we had an incredible interview with that Jake hosted, where we talk a little bit about the making of the game, the people behind it, and RTS in general.
Mudfish. අන්නින්නවා ප්‍රබෝධෝනි
ධෝනි ඇටොමික් කාට් එක මාර විදියට ගියානේ
මොකද ඒ දවස්වල ආපු ඔක්කොම ගේම් වෝක් වෙන ඔය වගේ දෙයක්
අනික
සාමාන්‍යයෙන්
මේක ගොඩක් බලන්නේ බයොෂොක් ඉන් මේ ඉන්ස්පයර්ඩ් වගේ
ඒකත්ම නෙවෙයි බං ඒ දවස්වල ආපු ඒවා එන වෝක් ආවේ ගේම් ඔක්කොම
ඒකයි නෑ අනික ගොඩක් බයොෂොක් එකට ගියා නම
ඔව් බයොෂොක් එකට ගියා අර සීන් එක තමයි ගොඩක්
වර්ල්ඩ් එකට අනික මේ වර්ල්ඩ් එක
රෂියා සෙක්ෂුවැලිටි ගොඩක් ඒවා තිබ්බනේ
මේ වගේ ආයි මොකද්ද ෆෝල් අවුට් අනික ෆෝල් අවුට් උත් මේ වගේ
ෆෝල් අවුට්
ෆෝල් අවුට් වර්ල්ඩ් එක ඒක ඔක්කොමනේ එකතුවක් වගේ ඒකින්ද
ඔගේ බොස් ෆයිට් නම් ආතල්ද බොස් ෆයිට් දෙක තුනක් තිබ්බ හිනා ආතල්ද
මේ කරාද කියන්නේ
මං ගැවල් ඉවර කරා
ඒක මම BSC නම් උද්දේ
It's in the sky, a giant cube.
Oh, extraction shooter type है.
Believe it myself.
කියන්නේ MMO extraction shooter.
MMO extraction shooter type එකක් තා.
ඔය cube එකේද අපි ඉන්නේ.
අපි cube එකට යනවා සැරිසරේ.
You know? I felt that same fear though.
map එක ඒ කියන්නේ
map එක rotate වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ map එක අර මේ Rubik cube එකක් වගේ rotate වෙනවා. අපිට ඕනි මේකට පයින් ඔන් ටක් ගාලා ගිහිල්ලා අර කරගෙන ඉස්සරි.
How did the whole of humanity
kind of interesting character customization
did we actually miss it? What if the cube didn't appear but revealed itself?
මේ අලුත් ට්‍රේලර් ගන්නනේ
ඔව් මේක අලුත් ට්‍රේලර් කලින් තිබ්බ මේක වල පොඩි ට්‍රේලර් අර වෙනස් වෙන එක
අඩු ගේම් ප්ලේ කරා
They know what we want, brother. They know what we want, brother. They actually know. They 100% know what we want. They're like Marvel rivals, brother. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. They know fucking what we want, brother. They know.
Day one.
The cube.
Oh my, that's biscuit nigga.
The golden Dhoni.
The cube. This now. කිසි අර මේවක් නෑ තාම මේ වුණත් නේ නිවුස් එක.
නෑ නේ ලොකු.
මගේ කොහොමද වැඩ කරන්නේ හරියට කියලා.
Immortal
Empire is an attempt to modernize and make more accessible the RTS genre while simultaneously keeping all of the complexity and the opportunities for mastery.
අරක වගේ බං මොකක්ද අර පට්ටම අමාරු ගේම් එකක් තියෙන රෑන්ක් ගන්න.
I would refer to it as a Blizzard style RTS.
ලෝකේ තියෙන පට්ටම අමාරුම රෑන්ක් ගේම් එක මොකක්ද?
Kind of very rapid fire chess. We realized that
Planet
RTS,
මාකර්
in
එකක්
part
තියෙන්නේ.
because it was
අනේ වගේ
dominated by a
එකක්.
few big players, never really went through the kind of indie transformational experimentation.
ඒක තමයි ගේමින් වල තියෙන hardest රෑන්ක් ගහන්න තියෙන ගේම් එක.
Or losing some of the things that really made RTS great. In the early days, we surveyed a lot of players in both MOBA and RTS communities, and found that they really loved the fantasy of commanding an army. RTS, at the end of the day, if you were to strip it all away, is just you're commanding an army, another guy's commanding an army in real time. Right? Because you get individual unit control, it can be very overwhelming, and because you're also building those units, because you're building a base, because you're having to do so much macro.
Okay බං ඒ කියන්නේ තප්පරේට action ගානක් මේ බලනවා pro players ලගේ.
And complicated. And so
තප්පරේට action 7ක්වත් ඕනේ.
Kind of line by line, trying to figure out what are the rote tasks, what are the things that players are required to do that are not really decisions.
ඔය වගේ games වල තියෙනවා මාර වෙද්දවල
real time
more and more of the complexity in the game, but optional. opt-in. We refer to it as opt-in
Real-time
complexity.
strategy
And then
number
simultaneously, how do we create a world and
Age of
experiences
Empire,
within
Age of
which people wanna be a
Mythology,
part?
Stronghold,
We
this
want
is the peak.
to take this genre and show
Good.
people this genre isn't dead.
ඒනට ඒ
People
වගේවත්
want this
තිබ්බද
fantasy,
මේ
they
වගේ
want this
දේවල් පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි.
experience. A lot of it has to
Age of
do
Empires
with
ගොඩක් ගත්ත
things
real
like
time
the
strategy
UI
වගේ
and the
පැත්තට
UX,
යන්නේ
the unit
Oh,
design,
ne
and
real
a lot
time
of that
strategy
opt-in
නෙවෙයි නේද?
complexity. So, for example, most RTS
ඒකේ අර වෙනස්
have to
වෙන
be
ඉතින් game
building
mode
workers.
එක.
If you're not building
Age of
workers, you're falling
Empires
behind
3.
on your economy and you're screwed. The correct move, with very few exceptions, is to build a worker every chance you get. So we made that automated, but have a toggle. If you want it turned off, you can. So if you're trying to do a specific timing attack, you can, but we took that complexity away. One of the other things
ඒනට
is
මේක අර
how in
මේකත්
MOBAs you
RTS
have a
තමයි
unified
ඒකට
command
එන්නේ
card,
complex
right?
වැඩි
All
නේ
of the
මේවා.
abilities and castable abilities on your
අරවත්
hero
RTS
are
තමයි
easy to
මේ
reach.
Age of Empires
You
work
can hit
කරන්නේ.
all of those
ඒතර
buttons
මේවනේ.
very quickly on one hand.
මේක අර
We redesigned the UI
නෑ
UX to be the same way. So you can select your whole army with one button by default,
අනේ
and
මන්ද නේ
then
මේක.
all of the abilities,
Oh,
castable
okay.
abilities of your army are also on that one unified command card. One of the
නෑ
things
මොකක්ද
that
ඒ?
people often tell us is that
ඒකේ
when they watch
building එහෙම
Target,
ලොකු නැති
it
හින්දා
looks
අර
like an RTS, but when they play it, it
ඒ
almost plays
design
more
එකත්
like
එන
a
අවුල්
MOBA
නේ.
in terms of how they're
ඒ කියන්නේ
commanding their army. Our early idea was if we
Yeah.
bring the top, 10 modders within generally the strategy gaming space, if we bring them all together and we say, if we were to come together and build a game that truly is the next generation of RTS, what does it look like? And that's what we set out to do. The 1v1 or 2v2 PvP experiences, they're similar to a StarCraft or a StarCraft
අන්න
2.
StarCraft අන්න
StarCraft.
කිව්ව
We
නම.
did redesign the
StarCraft.
maps and we redesigned the
Planet
mechanics in a way that
StarCraft.
2v2 is actually really, really fun. It's a core support gameplay mode. And players,
ඒකේ තියෙන world
including pro
download
players
එක.
who actually really enjoyed doing
StarCraft.
PvP tournaments. But the ultimate goal is to destroy the enemy's town centers, and so it's kind of a tactical back and forth with counters and strategic sniping
මේක නම්
and
මැ.
using immortal abilities in clever ways. So
Yeah,
it's great for mastery and laddering and skill gain. Ultimately, or at least the goal, is to have other PvP modes that are more casual or more playful, kind of some chaos modes, auto battler modes, things like that, where if you just have 10 minutes and you want to have a beer while doing it and you want to do something that's a bit strategic but you don't want to get that sweaty, we want to have those experiences too. That's a big part of the target market that we're looking at, is people that like to be challenged mentally but don't necessarily want to try to do the crazy APM and don't want to get too invested in the competition. We want to do a full grand
ඒක නම්
campaign.
boring
The
වගේ වා.
inspiration for how we kind of want
ඒක
or how we
බලන්නත්
see
boring වගේ ඒක නම්.
the ideal campaign, if we can build it, is very similar to Dark Crusade. It's a grand campaign. You can be kind of
If
any
it's
of
not
these different
third person, if it's
factions
not first person,
and conquering
I fucking doesn't
territory
care.
and building new and unique stories.
One of the better trailers that I think we all saw back around SGF last
Not
year.
a new trailer that we're showing with this. Of course, the twin comparison is new, which is very cool to see the twins for the first time in this universe, if you like Atomic Heart. But the trailer itself for the Cube, nothing new.
The potential for that game is like unmatched. It is a
They're
crazy
so
concept.
good at cinematics and also just like the concept of playing a game
උන්
like
කවුරුත්
that.
කියන්නේ මේකේ ඉන්න
with the
female
map
character sexy කියලා.
constantly changing, the biomes
පාරේ
changing.
ඒක තමයි කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි
It, like,
උන්ගේ
breaks
selling
my
point
brain
එක.
to think about, but in a fun way. I think.
Like different terrains, different weather.
Yeah. They show that sliding clip where she's sliding, and then as the cube is apparently rotating, we don't know how that mechanic even works. with the
අඩෝ
map.
ඒකේ එතකොට තියෙන්නේ
If you follow
මේකක්
the map,
නෙවෙයි.
You just like that's. I'm sure
Or
you're
get
dead.
crushed
And
by like
they've
Zone
so
එකක්
many
නෙවෙයි.
gameplay mechanics
අරක
already. You saw
rotate
for
වෙනවා.
short trailer, you saw wall
ඒක
running.
තමයි.
You saw just
ඒකට අපි විවරණයට එනවා.
gunplay.
අපේ විඩියෝට ගන්න පැයින්න ඕනේ ඒක.
is that it is set in a universe that people have already been a part of
A
somehow.
the world of Atomic Heart's very interesting.
Can you
as well.
explain it a little
It's
bit?
kind of like it is Soviet Russia in an alternate timeline where
ඌ
they
ඌ
mastered
ලෝකියවන එකෙක් නේ.
robotics, but then there's like evil robots.
And in terms of vibe, it's kind of like Soviet Bioshock.
මේ ගේම් ප්ලේ එකක් බලන්න
And what's interesting is
ඒ
that
කතා
from
ඇහෙන්නේ
the original game Atomic Heart, one of the
Brandon,
primary things
Brandon,
people loved
Brandon.
about it were like the boss fights and then like the outdoor environments and the art direction. And that is just the cube. And then they're adding in this multiplayer component as well with like, it seems like PvE elements with bosses that you'll fight against together as the cube rotates. I can't wait to find out more.
I love how open-ended they are. Munfish is like, we are all curious.
Yeah,
because we
nengana
don't know
challenge
the
ඉන්නේ
exact direction they're going.
ඔව් නේ
and
පොඩ
where it could end
හිතහන්කෝ.
up. And I was
environment
trying to
එකත්
pinpoint,
වෙනස්
like,
වෙනවා
what
නේද?
game I was looking at. Because we are going to flow into Atomic Heart, and I love that tie
Bosses.
between those worlds. But I honestly, I saw a piece of like the finals and the first destructibility and cube movement we saw when the finals first released. There was something about that aesthetic that I also saw, and I was like, okay, now I'm instantly locked back into this.
The DLCs people love. There's already Atomic Heart 1 and 2. This is their fourth and final DLC.
Atomic
for
Heart
Atomic
2
Heart.
මං ගෙහිවේ නෑ
And,
වන්නේ විතරයි ගෙහිවේ.
when we saw the trailer, we saw the screenshots.
අප්පා
it
2
adds-
එක ආවට
It looks good. You know. Then the third game on our list, that one was Immortal Gates of Pyre by Sunspear. Jake, you had a great conversation with Ian.
My boy Ian. It's a game that's been in development for a long time. We're going to probably talk about how it's a group of modders, and so they've hired a lot of modders, and they have that DNA for this game and a lot of the concepts they want to plan out for the future. They've had hands on this for almost 10 years, but they've been working hard on it for about 5, is what they would tell you. And they really want to try and combat, as we all know, like the RTS genre is really hard to get into because
high barrier of entry.
I agree, because it's like you see these games and you know RTS games and you're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work on micro, macro, and all those movements per second and whatnot.
And
they
movement
wanna try
per
and
second.
combat the pillars that have already established themselves in the RTS genre. We know Age of Empires, but we also know StarCraft is the one that people kind of go to. And he was saying they've had these games in the genre that blew up so early on that it's been hard for companies like this to make a new RTS and survive and branch out and be somewhat unique to what we already have kind of attached to.
I do like that they're kind of emphasizing accessibility because I think it is pretty intimidating for new players. That's why a lot of people don't want to, kind of
They
turn
seem to
off
have a
by
good strategy.
RTS. It's just so overwhelming to look at.
It's awesome. I'm one of the people who haven't played RTS because I don't want to go against Sweaty Joe who's been playing this his entire life. I have no.
He lives.
Yeah, I don't have any clue how to do
I
it.
live for micro, macro movements,
This is
bro.
cool. And then you can have the sweaty experience.
ඒක මාරු හැබැයි
or you can have
පොඩ්කාස්ට්
the
එකක්
experience
කරගෙන
where you
කතා
just sit at home
ඔව්
next
නේ
to
නිකන්
have a
ස්ටේජ්
beer.
එකක් දාගෙන ඉන්න කාලේ නෙවෙයි ඉන්නේ.
That's my guy.
chill එක. අර chill එකම ගෙන්න
But I do
ගන්න.
want to really support him, and when it comes to cracking
Oh.
through whatever the current
හැබැයි මූ එහෙම ඔය වම්බැට්
you
ඉන්නේ
know,
නැහැ.
yeah, the
මූ එහෙම
current
හෙන
stereotype in that
නෑ
genre
ලැප්ටොප්
is they're trying to innovate, they're trying to do things differently.
මේ videos
And one
බලන්න
last thing,
channel
they're
එක අර
very,
කිව්වා.
very community focused.
අර ඔය gossip channel
like a
දැක්කේ
lot of the devs we've
දැන්
spoken to, they love their
ඒක
community,
මාරුවනේ.
they found their
video
diehards,
බලන්න.
and it really has shaped the project. And so I hope we see it in the near future.
ඔව්. පාපාවෙස්.
Next up we have what I'm
ආ
calling kind of a
පාපාවෙස්
Western
කියන්නේ
section.
ෆාෆා ෆේස්
නෑ,
කියන්නේ
නෑ,
බං ඒකේ මිෂන් එක ගහලා ඉවර කරද්දී ඔබගේ පැහැරගත්ත දුව වයසට ගිහින් ඉන්න පුළුවන් මැල්ලා ඉන්න පුළුවන් ඔබ ටක් ගාලා මිෂන් ඉවර
අරක
කරන්න
නෙවෙයි.
පුළුවන්
අර අරකද අර වයිල්ඩ්ස් වගේ තියෙන එක.
අන්න හරි වයිල්ඩ් ඩෙස් වගේ තියෙන
ඒක අර ඒකද මං කියන්නේ.
මේක නෙවෙයි ඈ ෆාෆා ෆේස්
ඕකනේ ඒක තමයි.
එක්සයිල්
Welcome to the world of Execular.
Execular.
Killer,
We are Kasha
Killer.
and Amadeus, the
Killer.
creators of the game.
And this is gameplay overview.
Cyberpunk කොපියක්
Execular
වගේ
is
නේ.
a
Cyberpunk වගේ
action
තමයි.
adventure game that encourages exploration, rewards curiosity.
Blade Runner වගේනේ.
And
Oh,
never holds your hand.
You play as Denzel Phoenix, an execular,
Ooh.
a corporate bounty hunter.
Corporate
Bounty
bounty
Hunt
hunter.
down fugitives and reclaim souls from those who try to escape the system.
අනේ මන්ද.
One of the game's main hubs
Ah.
is the tower, a massive
Ah,
fortress.
very close to Cyberpunk, brother.
This is where you accept contracts,
Cyberpunk
upgrade your
copy
gear,
කරනවා.
and prepare for missions.
Job well
ඒ
done.
වගේ වයිය.
Contract fulfilled.
ඔව් ඈ සිලාට අර බිල්ඩින් එක වගේ ඒ වගේ අකෝ
And almost
ඒකනේ.
everyone begins and ends in the tower.
උගේ ගෙදර තියෙන
Ah.
Cyberpunk එකගේ ඒ තැන වගේම
Outside the tower
Hmm.
lies a harsh, scorched desert.
හොඳයි වගේ ඒකට
You
අනේ.
travel through it in a heavily modified car designed to protect you from extreme conditions such as heat and radiation. Inside the vehicle, you have access to your computer, storage, and a working radio.
බවුන්ඩ් හැන්ඩින් එකෙන් නේද
කවුන්ටර් එකේ වයිබ් එකක් තියෙනවා. හරිද? නැතුවනේ හොඳයි. අනේ මන්ද.
ගේම් එක ෆාස්ට් මාදී
පොඩ්ඩක් වෙන ස්කෝපේස් එක.
අර බලන්න
අර එන එනිමිත් නිකන් එන නේද?
enemy AI එක නෑ
දැන් පොටෙන්ෂල් එක නැතුවම නෙමෙයි ගේම් එක.
ඔව් ග්‍රැෆිකලි අතින් වයිබ් එක අතින් යාමත් කොම්බැට් අතින් නැහැ. පිහියනම් ගති.
හරි.
පිහිය ගති.
ඇනිමේෂන්ස් ඒවත් හොඳට තියෙනවා.
Inventory space is limited and every item matters, forcing players to make careful decisions about what to carry and what to leave behind.
Hellion's high-tech systems allow you to hack devices, pick locks, and access restricted areas.
Your cybernetic implants help you uncover hidden
Okay,
elements and
like
investigate the environment.
Easy as fuck, but the hardware හොඳයි. puzzles එක.
Missions and level design are fully non-linear. There's no single way to complete a contract. Stealth,
Hitman වගේ non linear ඒ කියන්නේ ඕන විදිහකට දෙතයි.
and can be freely combined.
In Executor, every decision matters.
What's it
Executor.
gonna be? Plata or muerte?
Execute නේ execute.
මැසේජ් බාර් එකත් තරගේ කොපියක් කළා.
Wishlist Executor on Steam.
Hi everyone,
Then I need it
Robert
with that.
here from Fireshine Games. I am the senior product manager for Far Far West, developed by the incredible
Far West.
six-person team at Evil Raptor. Far Far West is a 1-to-4 player co-op PvE first-person shooter where you play as robot cowboys in a weird western world. Work together to kill bosses, collect bounties,
නම්
and
මරුවා
cleanse
කිව්වා.
the lands of the evil enemy invaders.
මේකත් දැන් ඔයා කිව්වේ?
නෑ මේක නෙවෙයි නේ අර පෙන්නපු පික්සල් එක මං කිව්වේ.
Here we're
Oh,
exploring
yeah.
the Far Far West hometown, an evolving space
Yeah,
where you can
yeah,
upgrade
yeah,
your
yeah.
weapons, spells, and characters.
මේක නිකන් අර වෝහැම එක ගත්තේ බං අපි ඒ වගේ සීන් එකක් තියෙනවා.
Once the team is geared up and ready to go, we can pick the bounty. we wanna
ඇබිසල්
hunt and
තිබ්බේ
drop into
ඇබිසල්
the
වගේ නේ.
Abysses.
ඇබිසස් for you.
ඒක steampunk quest වගේ නිකන්. Graphic නම් මරුවේ.
Now that we have dropped into the map,
Artist
it is
tell him
time
what
to head to our first objective. We can travel around
Yeah,
the map
මේ
much
Sea of
faster
Thieves
with the
style
use
එක
of
වගේ.
trusty horses,
ඒක වෙනසක්
which you can summon with the press of a button. When fighting enemies, I can use
අතින් කරගන්න.
firearms and a variety of spells to do damage or heal myself and teammates. Spells and guns can also be comboed
Ooh.
together to make their effects more
ඒක
powerful,
creative ඒවා
spread
හද
their
animation
damage further, or even create new
animation
spells.
එක සුපිරි. Yeah. ඒකත්.
To summon this
අර
boss, we
අඩෝ.
need to do the obvious.
animation එක
Launch
බං.
a nuke at its nest. So let's get this
මේක
rocket
නම් ඉතින්
loaded
අනේ
with
ගන්න කොහොමද
explosives,
ඒක.
shoot it into
Dead
the
Brain
air.
ගේම් ප්ලේ එක නම්
ඉඩ
මේ
When
වගේ
playing
නේ.
co-op, you have to work
ඒක
together as a
Dead
team,
Brain ඉඩ
complete
තියෙනවා.
objectives and defend yourself from enemy attacks.
පළවෙනි සත්
Right
දෙකේ
now, we're throwing sticks of dynamite to my
Yeah.
teammate for him to put in the
ඒ වගේ
rocket,
තමයි.
of which
ඒ කියන්නේ
he's
mid
actually
වගේ යයි.
making a
ඒ
few.
කියන්නේ
While
යනවා නම්
carrying out objectives, you
ඒ
will
කියන්නේ
attract the
play
attention
කරයි.
of enemy
ඕවර්වර්මින් බෑඩ් නෙවෙයි ඕවර්මින්
overwhelming
නෙගටිව් නෙවෙයි
so
නෙගටිව්
නිකන්
නෙවෙයි
ඔහේ
mixed.
ඔහේ කියන්නේ mix එක
Now we have
ඔව්
the
mix
rocket
එක
all
වගේ
powered up. Let's launch it at the boss nest to really
mid
make
play
it
ways
angry.
යක් mix වෙන.
This bounty is far from
chill එකට
over.
play
Now we
කරන්න.
have to take the beast down. Let's summon the boss and get this party
මොකක්ද
started.
තියෙන boss එක. Okay, let's see. Record.
ගිජුලීනි
Oh.
We won and the boss is dead, but we aren't safe yet. So let's get to the station to get the last train out of town. When the train is called, we have to stay alive for its arrival, which is easier said than done when the whole of the Far West wants you dead.
කොච්චර එකක් ඉන්නද
We made it out alive. Well, some of us, which means we get to keep the resources we found along the way. These will allow us to upgrade our characters even more and be stronger for the next bounty. This was just
දැන්
one
නම්
simple
නිදිමතයි
game
ලයිව් එක
of Far
ඔක්කොලා
Far
යන්න හිතෙනවා
West.
දැන්.
There are multiple bosses, maps, objectives, weapons, spells, upgrades, and
Yeah, no.
cosmetics, all unlockable through play.
තා
You
කොච්චර
can
දී
play the
දන්නේ නේ.
contest with your friends right now.
කීයදලා
play dance.
හතරයි
As a
16
parent, you've got
ඔය දින්
one
ඕක
job.
මං කිව්වේ
Protect your family.
Aduh, ini style nya mana nih?
Oh, kemarin.
Ini roguelike deh. Roguelike kali ini.
Roguelike. Kalau lang boss fight time baru ya.
Aduh. Aduh.
Marin time में क्या ना वेगी वेगी.
Aduh, ini ganti ya, art style ini. Ini mau ganti kan? Gue mau kali dekorasi lagi. Aduh, ini sih lihat dia lah.
Oh, ini ganti lagi.
A normal typical roguelike itu pada ya dia loh. Aduh. Itu tapi weapon sector ini. Beda.
Aneh man.
Aduh, itu. Aduh. Ini kan roguelike kita kalau dia nih.
Story kutti no ki.
Tidak kan api Madeline lagi kita.
Oh, baik kayak ini. Story වෙනස් වෙනවා. දැක්කද ඌ පරක්කු වෙන story වෙනස් වෙනවා.
First up, we saw X Killer. That's coming from Paradox Studio. It's kind of, I mean, the vibes look great to me. It was reminding me a little bit, you disagreed, but like a cyberpunk in the wild West.
I just see it.
The animation work was crazy good, like the world building.
I think the way it's described is a post-apocalyptic Western style FPS with a bounty hunter vibe. And so we even saw in the trailer they were picking up bounties. It kind of reminds me of Fallout as well.
Yeah, a little bit of Fallout in there.
So I think it looks like
Iya
it
nih, sama nih lah.
could be a new
nih.
kind of like
Iya
staple
nih.
of those types
Dia
of
makin
games
sama
to me at
iya
least.
nih.
Yeah, it's a great
Oh,
combination.
udah gini.
It looks fantastic.
උන්ට එක හදාගන්න පුළුවන් බා රිලීස් වෙන්න කලින්.
It's coming from such a small
Sci-fi.
වැරද්දක් ගොඩක් කියලාට කිව්වම
Yeah, done.
වැරද්ද නොදැන හදාගන්න බෑනේ වැරද්ද.
Then we had Far Far West coming from Evil Raptor, Western themed action shooter project. You know, the way I've been describing it, to be honest with you, is Western Sea of Thieves. There's a lot of depth there. It looks like, I mean, that's not a bad comparison. Sea of Thieves was very fun.
ඒ කියන්නේ අවුලක් නැහැ
Sea
උන්ට
of
හදන්න
Thieves,
පුළුවන්.
but Cowboys, basically.
Well, it's that, but also with specific hunts and like bounties, we're going out and doing boss fights with each other.
It seems very teamwork based too. Like you saw a clip there where they were fighting the boss on the
ඌ
ground,
තනියෙන්
and
ගහන
one of them was up top, and your teammate threw the dynamite up.
ඌ තනියෙන්
landed
ගහන.
it. Looks really cool.
Third on this list, another Western. This game is pretty
Heroes?
mind-blowing. I think
Heroes?
we're all on the same page for that.
The art
Heroes.
style is
Erosion.
divine.
I could see this one being like
This is gonna be a big one. This
yeah,
is
a big one.
Well, like the most compelling aspect of it to me is the time passing affecting not just the world that you're exploring, but also like, literally your daughter. She grows older every death that happens.
I think it's
a
a decade,
goes
yeah.
past.
So the worse you are at the game.
If you die 20 times, like she's not gonna
She
be
did.
there when you get there. You're gonna be talking to a gravestone, but it's.
ඒක
it's
තමයි
just
කිය
a
කියන්නේ
very-
අඩුවෙන් මැරෙන තරමට ඒ ගේම් එකේ සක්සස් රේට් එක හොඳයි.
Roguelike.
good ending එක.
She become a gravestone.
We're gonna want to go deathless runs.
ඔව් ඒකේ මැරිජක්
Maybe
තින්නවා.
there's a glimpse of hope of like if you have a deathless run or maybe a one
That's
death
like
run.
the true ending or something.
There's a
That's-
happy ending, but I imagine that most other endings are not going to be so happy, or at least a bit sadder.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah,
It looks
exciting.
really
We're
good.
gonna see a lot
Aduh.
from that game.
For sure.
මොකද්ද Division 2 the Alpha
Division
Phone Last
2,
Man
Next up, we have a very
Sand,
exciting
sand.
Sand is a good one.
competitive game.
Sand
Sand
is a
games.
good one.
We have an awesome
Has
interview that
එකක් තියෙන
Jake
පටන්
did
ගන්න.
with the executive producer of the Division franchise.
මොකද ගන්න?
We also
බලනවා.
have Alpha Response, a game coming from the
Yeah.
original
තව පැයක්
creator
විතර
of Counter-Strike, Min Lee, or Gooseman, whatever you know him
යමුනේ.
as. Last Man Sitting from
යමුනේ.
Pixel Pizza, and Sand Raiders of Sophie.